Yes! First podcast ever. Woo! What's up, big dreamers out there in big dreamland? Obviously, action takers and entrepreneurs and big dreamers and people who want to make the world a better place. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Maury Power from the Big Dreams Club and first ever podcast. Right now, this is our first ever podcast. I have a very amazing man, the Swiss Army Colonel, Mathias Mueller, who's been staying with us for a month at the Big Dreams Club. He's helped me out so much already. He's got me to jump into a lake. On New Year's Day, we jumped into a lake, a frozen lake. They cut a hole in it. We jumped in. It was awesome. I've been talking about doing it for 2 years.
Go, Daddy! Woo! Woo! Keep it rolling, keep it rolling. Not so easy! Woo! 3, 2, 1! Woo! Woo!
Amazing man, amazing career, amazing family, amazing kids doing high-end athletic stuff, right? Your kids are doing really well. And once again, my first podcast ever, you guys, so take it easy on me. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have a conversation. I really, really respect this guy. He's amazing, and he's going to teach you a lot today. So he's a Swiss Army Colonel,
right?
Which is pretty darn near the top. Right?
It's quite high in the armed forces.
Yes. And Mathias Mueller. So give it up. Woo!
Thank you.
You're welcome. So
Thank you.
He also has a podcast right now. What's your podcast called?
It's a podcast in German.
Yep.
In German, it's called Der Stoische Pirat, which means in English, the Stoic Pirate.
The Stoic Pirate. And wow, that's very cool. I like those two words too. And a couple days ago, you did your first English
Right.
version.
And I did it with you.
Yes, yours truly.
So if somebody wants to see the Stoic Pirate, right now I have one out there in English with Maury Power as my guest.
Yeah.
Just go on YouTube, go on Spotify, go on Apple Podcast, absolutely.
Yeah.
Give in the Stoic Pirate, you'll find it. Or you go on my website, which is www.muellermatthias.ch, Mueller, M-U-E-L-L-E-R, and Mathias, M-A-T-H-I-A-S. So that's my advertisement I made now.
No, thank you. Good. He's taught me a lot. He's helping me get this whole thing going. So he's my mentor right now, you guys. Same age, 3 months older. And I got 2 girls. You have 2 girls and a boy?
2 girls and a boy.
Wow, cool. So why Stoic? Why Stoicism? And
yeah. Well, actually, I discovered Stoicism. I was always interested in philosophy, and I discovered it about 5-6 years ago. And I think Stoicism is a really helpful philosophy. It's like a philosophy for, that it's kind of like a philosophy for life. It's not just talking. It's like practical philosophy. It's something that you can use in everyday situations in your life. And what the Stoics, more than like 2,000 years ago, what they were talking about is still valid today. We can still use their way of thinking, their solutions to problems in life. We can still use them nowadays, and we can, and that's what I think it's great. It's not just talking; it's a practical philosophy. I'll give you an example. Like most people, when they hear Stoicism, Stoics, they think about stiff upper lip, no emotions, show no emotions.
Tough, sort of an army guy, maybe with a sword. Maybe I'm thinking.
Yes, yeah. You think about that. But it's not the stiff upper lip. We have to get rid of that of this image. It has a lot to do with emotions, but the Stoics are not. They don't have no emotions. They have emotions. They're aware of their emotions, but they control their emotions. They don't let the emotions dictate their behavior, so they control the emotions. And that's one of the things, the whole idea of control. What can you control? What lies within your power? What lies within your control? What lies within you, outside of your power? And don't get absorbed with stuff that is outside of your power. You know, don't get angry about things you cannot change.
Yep.
Focus on that what you can change. Focus on you and what's the only thing that you can that you really have control about? What is the only thing?
How you react.
Well, that's the thing. It's how you think. It's how it's you. That's the only thing. You don't even have full control above your body. I mean, if your body gets sick, you don't have control. You know, it's you who makes it. You can help. You can create favorable circumstance, but how you deal with it, how you think about it, that's what you can control. And that's a big part of Stoicism. It's like start to realize there are things that are within our control, that is within our power, and there's things that are outside. And don't bother about the stuff that is outside. Focus on you, focus on the stuff that's within your power. That's one of the big things,
I'm finding that as, 50 is come and gone now, compared to the 20-year-old Maury, that naturally I'm kind of becoming more of a stoic from your exclamation because, but imagine knowing this stuff when you're 15.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Or learning this stuff in schools, right? Because as we get older, we learn, oh man, that person carries their emotions on a sleeve. That person's such a drama queen, right?
Yes.
Those people aren't stoic, right?
No,
they're just all external. Look at me, and all that sort of stuff, right?
That's a very good point, I think, and that's why I also try with my podcast. I'm not talking only about Stoicism, but to try to teach the people or about Stoicism, how that can help them, because it's as you said, the older you get, the more experience you have, and you probably come yourself slowly to these conclusions. But what if sometimes, it's also like this. People, they doubt themselves. They think like, oh yeah, it is like that. But then it's like, yeah, but am I the only one who thinks like that? And then you suddenly open a book, you read like great Stoics like Seneca or Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and then you see like, no, they came to the same conclusion like I did. It reinforces you. You're not alone out there. And they can, you read their books, and they can give you like it's like it can help you in your everyday life. And it's as you said, the earlier you learn it, the better for you. Like there's so much stuff in there that you could say, hey, if I would have known that before, I would probably be the better person today. But it's never too late.
And he gave me a book. He gave me a book this morning, or last night actually, and I read it this morning to my girls. 365 Stoic,
from Ryan
Holiday's, right? So we started reading them this morning. And I should actually read one at the end, and I'll add it to this podcast. Right? I'll add it to the podcast. A little 1-minute message for you.
It's a daily. The book is called The Daily Stoic from Ryan Holiday, and great introduction book for if you want to start to get to know Stoicism a little bit. It's a great introduction book. Once you read Ryan Holiday, you start also want to know about the real. Like you want to read the originals. Like you want to read Seneca and all that. But I can really recommend that as a starter. This Daily Stoic.
And quickly before we get to the pirate, okay? Because you guys, pirates are not who you think. Just like a lot of stuff in life, like most things in life, when you actually look into it, you're like, wow, maybe the news was just putting a bunch of stuff here, or like most things aren't what we think. But before we get into that, just quickly, this Seneca guy, I've heard a lot about him all my life. I just found out last night from Mathias that he was like a billionaire.
He was like one of the richest humans. I mean, he's a Roman.
What days was he living?
That was like, I'm not 100%. I think like the fifth. Like he was the consultant of Emperor Nero.
Okay.
Now to be honest, I don't know by heart if it was like 50 after Christ or before. Okay. I'm not sure, but around the 2000 years ago, and Seneca was he was a teacher of Nero. Nero was a crazy emperor. He was the guy who, even though that he had a great teacher with Seneca, he turned out crazy. But he was one of the richest persons that lived on the planet back then, Seneca, and he was one of the great Stoic philosophers, and that's very interesting because if you take I take now these 3 philosophers like Seneca, he was one of the richest people on earth, consultant of Emperor Nero. Then you had Marcus Aurelius, who was himself an emperor, a big emperor, like Roman emperor. And then you have a guy like Epictetus. He was a slave. and they all have the same philosophy. So it's a philosophy for everyone, and it's not a philosophy that says, oh, you have to get rid of all your belongings, and so, no, it's like, you are allowed to have things, but always be aware that it's not the things that you have that make you, and everything you have, you can also lose. So don't get too attached. You're allowed to have nice stuff, you're allowed to, but it should not, that what defines you. Always be aware that the things you have can also be lost. So you are not what you have, you are what you are. And then we come again to the thing we can control. It's us, our soul we can control, our mind we can control. But all the things that we have, it's nice to have, we're allowed to have it, but it should not dominate us.
Mathias, touch on that story you were telling us yesterday. Just touch on it a little bit about how like a big politician will be in a politician, and then they'll start getting all these invites and all these letters to places. And
yeah, I told you.
Like
I told you that. Yes,
it's like
I mean, I had this experience. I'm a member of parliament in our canton, which is like the province. We have Switzerland 26 cantons, like Canada has provinces. We have cantons. Colleges different. And I'm a member of parliament in the cantonal parliament, in provincial parliament. And it was really an interesting experience. I'm still, not the fact that I'm in there, but when I was elected, what happened? I was elected, and I didn't expect that. You know, the day after I was elected, I started having like much more mail in my mailbox. I got letters, I got invitations from one day to the other. And then first you're like, oh my God, you know, you look at the stuff and you're like, wow, they have an invitation for the whatever association, lobby group and everything.
Automobile Detailing Association.
You name it. Like there's like the people who protect the snails, and then there's the Automobile Association, then there is the farmers, whatever, all kinds, you name it. And then you like, you know, it makes you feel important. You get all these letters, you know, like, oh, I'm an important person. I get invited, VIP, front row, you know. When you're there, then they greet you and like, oh, it's an honor for us. We have the member of parliament here, Mr. Mueller, blah, blah, blah. You know, and you feel like, oh yeah. And there you have to stay humble and grounded. Because they don't honor you because you're a good person. They honor you because you have this function. And I saw that with guys who were not re-elected, or who just quit politics. The day you're out is finished with invitation. And I saw people getting depressions because they defined themselves with this function. They were like, I am a member of parliament. No, you're not. I am a human being. I'm a human being with a personality. But I am not a member of parliament. I have been elected to represent the people. I have been elected. That's what I do. But I'm not defining myself with this function. And that's what it is. You know, some people, they define themselves by their job, by their function, by their titles they have.
So many people.
And it's wrong because
I'm a painter. I'm a nurse.
Yes.
I'm a doctor. Oh, I'm a doctor, right?
Yes.
I'm a nurse. I'm a painter. Right? Maybe a house painter might not have as much self-esteem as a doctor. But at the same time, they're just people.
They're people, and that's the thing.
Yeah, they can do anything with like write books, paint pictures.
Absolutely, and you said it. You know, maybe somebody has not as high self-esteem like a doctor, but why? They're human beings.
That's right.
The doctor's a human. The house painter's a human. The baker's a human. They're all useful for our society. So we're not defined by our jobs. We're defined as a person, and if the painter makes an excellent job because he loves it, then he's so much value for society. And if you have a doctor who just, oh, I'm a doctor because I have good status and I earn a lot and I don't care about the people really, but it's like, then he's a bad person. And it's like, so don't define yourself with titles, functions, and your job. Define yourself through character.
Yes, character. Good. Now, I didn't mean to interrupt there, but you guys, very important here. I want you to explain, please. Okay, I was a house painter for years and sort of didn't love my career. So that's why I kind of put that into a little spell. And maybe like my sister's a house cleaner, and a lot of people have been house cleaners, and my sister does a great job. And she has her little house cleaning business. She hires her daughters when they need it. But at the same time, by doing a really good job and by really paying attention to the detail, even a house cleaner, tell them the story about the house cleaner. This is unbelievable. Please.
It's like I told you the story, and it's an amazing story. It's like this from rags to riches story. Like I know this guy. He's he didn't even finish mandatory school.
Yeah.
He quit school after like 7 or 8 years. He didn't finish. They were a big family, poor family, 7 or 8, 9 children. And like they came from like this. Switzerland, from the mountainside, like this little village, like a little bit in the boonies, like this, I would say. So he didn't have any education. So what he did, he and without any plan, he moved in the city. He went to Zug. Zug is a very, it's very rich. It's a lot of finance, a lot of tech there. It's kind of like our Silicon Valley type, like a lot of cryptocurrency, everything with crypto is there. So he moved there, and he had no job. So what did he do? He started cleaning. There's all the people. Cleaning is always need. There's always need for cleaners. So he started cleaning. He cleaned somebody's house. He did a good job. The guy asked him, "Hey, you did a good." He told him, "Hey, you did a good job. Thank you very much. You know what? I need somebody who cleans my office because I don't have any cleaner anymore. Do you want to do it?" He said, "Of course I do it." So he became cleaner. He started cleaning the office. So somebody else, this guy told somebody else. So somebody else, another entrepreneur came and said, "Well, I need a cleaner too. Would you come? I heard you do a good job." Of course. So he got more and more jobs because he did an excellent job. And he was proud of doing a good job. He didn't feel inferior. No, he was like, I am the guy who cleans office. I am the guy who helps these people do their job. Because how can people do a job if there's just... If they have to work in the dirty environment. So I'm the guy who creates the favorable condition. So the guy gets more and more and more and more. Yeah. So what did he have to do? He had to hire people. Yeah.
Keeping it simple, right?
Keeping it simple.
Doing a good job cleaning. And sorry, but it's unbelievable.
No, and he get more and more people. And what did he do? He told them, he took people who had his philosophy. So they cleaned also well. He paid them well. He got more and more money. Took him some years.
How many years? 10 years.
Yeah, right? I think about 10 years. He worked. His business got bigger and bigger. He became like the biggest cleaning company in this area. Got out in other provinces, cantons. He started, and suddenly the biggest cleaning company in Europe knocks at the door. In Europe, knocks at the door and says, "You know what? We want to buy your business." He sold it for many, many millions. The biggest cleaning company in Europe bought his thing. He's a multimillionaire.
Talking like 100 something, right? Like many millions, you guys.
Like,
a cleaning company.
And now he lives his. It's so cool to see. He has like this. He bought like cars from movie actors. He has like
showed you his like
garage, like
garage full of cars,
Ferraris and Rolls Royce and everything he likes. He does.
In 10 years,
it's crazy.
10 years,
and I think it's so. And I love this story.
Me too.
It's like. You do your job and do it right and
Me too,
do a
I love
good
it,
job.
yes. I was this great painter, always a perfectionist, but I didn't want to hire anybody. So how good can I get? Only as good as my arms. And then it's just unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
And Mathias said if he came to Canada, last night we're saying, if you came to Canada and you had nothing, you would seriously go to Toronto and start a cleaning business.
You always
and like you right now, if you're like, let's say 30, you don't know what you're doing, you could do that.
Yes.
Go to a big city, because most people don't know how to work. Most people don't want to work. And imagine,
nobody wants make their hands dirty.
Yeah.
We have all people are getting more and more. Nobody wants to clean, and you know what? We need people who clean, and we need people who do a good job, and it's an important job.
Yeah.
That's what you said before with the esteem. No, you are worth. Everybody's the same. Human beings have the same worth. They're not defined by their job. And if you're the best cleaner in the world, you're so much worth.
Yeah.
You're like on top. Really, that's what I believe.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out what you want to do, what you're good at, and then you become a champion.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And
now, what about if you just wanted to get out of society and just sort of become a pirate? Back to the pirate. Pirate this is all new to me. I just learned this recently. Where do you hear this, you guys? So the Stoic, pirate.
Yes.
Why pirate?
So there's two things to it. The first, but I tell you, yeah, there's two things. I never told you that now before, but I'm very proud. One of my forefathers was a pirate. And we found that out because my family, like he was actually not a pirate. He was probably also a pirate, but he was a buccaneer. Buccaneer means he had a letter of from the king or queen that he was allowed to rob other ships from the other countries. So that was like the legalized, the buccaneers were the legal pirates. They did it the same thing, but say the British crown said, Maury, you're a pirate, but you know what? We like that you attack Spanish boats, we like that you attack the other boats, but don't attack, because that weakens our enemies, but don't attack our boats. And then if you agree, we get you a letter, the Queen signs, and you're like your official buccaneer, and you can do that. So it seems one of my forefathers was a buccaneer under the Dutch flag. Under the Dutch flag. Why do we know that? In 1815, my family got a letter from the Dutch crown saying there's still stuff from this forefather around, like kind of like a treasure. I mean, of course, as a kid, I visualized this big, box with like gold and stuff. I don't think it was like that. And what was the problem is and they said, come get it. My family was in Switzerland. They couldn't, and 1815 was a very bad year. There's the volcano broke out. It was like the year it was black, and it was the last year there was a famine in Switzerland. Like there was a famine, and nobody knows that. The kids were.
And it snowed in America in July and August from a volcano in the Philippines, right?
I think it was the Philippines.
And it made the whole sunlight disappear for like a year.
Yes. So it was a really crazy year, And back then, people were poor. I mean, it was not just, I hop in a plane and go to Holland.
Yeah, no.
I mean, so they couldn't afford, and there was this year with the famine and everything. And the Dutch crown wrote in the letter, look, if you don't come pick it up, it goes to the crown. So we never know how much it was. But you know what? When I heard that,
they didn't tell you what's in it a little bit?
No, it's like
you go all the way there and on a horse through the famine in the dark, and they give you like a little book. Here you go, a little scrapbook.
The thing is, to be honest, I don't really care how much it was. Already as a boy, when I heard this story, I mean, what cooler can it be than you have like, one of my grandfather is a pirate. I mean, what's the coolest thing you could have as a child? So I live with that. I don't even want to know more. That's what I know, and so that's one side. So I like that. But no, seriously, the pirates. The pirates, we talk a lot about social justice warriors and all social justice. You know what? The pirates, that were the real social justice warriors. They were the real one. People don't know, but they created basically a new society, new way of living. They broke out. Now we think, they were like the killers of the sea. They were robbing and they were cruel. Yeah. Of course they were cruel, but it was cruel times back then. Everybody was cruel. We cannot compare that with today. But no, it was often people who said, you know what, I can't handle this society anymore. There's like structures we have, there's like unfairness, injustice. So they broke out and became pirates. Basically, they were outlaws. They so I don't know, I mean, you don't know, but I know a lot of people don't know. Pirates, they had the first democracies. Before the American Revolution, before the French Revolution, in the sick end of the 17th century, the pirates they lived in democracies. That means amazing. A captain was elected to be captain. Imagine that. They had crews who elected the captain. He could always be replaced. If he didn't do a good job, if he was unfair to the people, he was replaced. They had the balance of power. He was not the captain alone. He had a quartermaster. And the quartermaster, the same power, because they said, we don't want somebody who has alone the power. It's always two. Balance of power. Never seen before in the 17th century. Yep. That came with the French Revolution, came with the American Revolution. They were 100 years ahead, but there were other things also ahead. So imagine the crew. The crew was absolutely diverse. There were women. There were people of color. There were Asians. There were Europeans. Yeah. There was from everywhere. They didn't care. They didn't care. It was not like, oh, we're just pirates, we only want to be white. No, contrary, they were black, people of color who were captain. Black Caesar, his name. Brilliant captain, very famous. We had women, Captain and Boney. We had like lots of women who were in charge. No problem.
Never
imagine
happened
that
in the British Army.
No,
right?
imagine that in the 17th century in society,
No way.
18th century in society. Forget it. They had mixed, diverse group, and they had, that's also something I think is brilliant. They had social welfare. Imagine that. They made like this contract before you went on a boat, and it said, if you lose a leg, you will get, I just invent now, I don't know how much, but 3 gold coins. Okay. If you lose a right leg, arm, you
for your family or for yourself? Or
for yourself. It was your health insurance, your social welfare. If you lose an eye, it was all written down. And they put that aside. I mean, that's something we do today. We have today healthcare and all that social welfare, but they had it already back then. So, no racism, there's no like women have no rights. No, everybody was equal, and they lived in it. They have democracy. And another thing they also, I think it's amazing. They had same-sex marriage. Yeah. Imagine that, same-sex marriage. It was not about, actually, the interesting thing is, it makes total sense. Because it was not even about, probably they were also, of course they were gay pirates too, but it was not about that. It was about helping each other. Because they said, if one pirate, if one pirate goes on a quest, on a treasure hunt, or they go on sea, he leaves his stuff behind. So wouldn't it be good if there would be somebody stay behind looking for the house? So that was his partner. And they swore each other, we look for each other. They swore for each other that if you're old, I'm going to look for you. And the other guy, I'll look for you. And if you lose a leg, I'll be there for you. They swore. And they did. It's called matelotage. The Australian word mate comes from there. So I'm your mate. I will look for you. It's like a contract. So it was less about sex. It was more about supporting each other. Excellent. Like this.
Now, would everybody have that? Would there be a mate with everybody, and then there would be the gay mates or the gay marriage?
I don't know. But they married. It was an official. It was a marriage. They swore to each other.
They were okay to be kissing and stuff like that.
I don't know. That I don't know. But probably they would.
Still, it's unbelievable. In the 1700s.
Because they didn't care. You know why? Because they wanted to have success. So they were not preoccupied with we don't want the people of color on our boat. It was like, you know what? We want the strongest. He is strong. I take him. That Asian, he's a brilliant navigator. We take him. It's not like, we don't want that.
No, we don't. We want the strongest fireman coming through to save our family when there's a fire. And I don't care if they're white or blue or pink
red or whatever.
Or black.
That's his thing. And that's what I think is so cool. Let's go back. I mean, marketing-wise,
the marketing.
I mean, it's brilliant. Like the Jolly Roger, the black and white flag with the skull, and I mean, this is still today. I mean, which logo do you know? 300.
Yes, on the side of a spray paint can. It can kill you.
We know that since it stands for pirate.
Oh yeah, it's huge marketing.
It's a huge marketing. So what they did, they put that flag. Brilliant. So what did the merchant marine do when they saw it? They were like, oh my God, pirates, let's surrender.
So you're the pirate ship coming towards me, I see the flag and I'm
you surrender. And then you had this reputation of being cruel, which is also part of a public relation act, actually. Which was what they did. They took the boat, often they didn't have to fight for it because the people surrendered. The reputation was, they were going to be cruel. They were not that cruel, actually. What they did is it was marketing. They took then the sailors, and they normally told them, hey, do you want to stay? You guys want to stay with us? You want to join us? And then a lot of guys did, because they had the better life with the pirates. Because living on a merchant marine boat or in a navy boat back then, it was horrible, horrible. They were basically slaves to the captain. So a lot of guys joined the pirates because there was free, it was adventure, and as I said,
you got life insurance,
everything, So, and the guys who didn't want to stay, they told them, look, we let you go, but make sure when you go back to England or wherever, you tell them horrible stories. You know, so that's what they did. And
of course they would too. The king, they took our boat, they chopped his head off.
And that's what they did. They even sent sometimes pirates, and then the pirates said, oh, I'm a survivor. Oh my God, they chopped ears off, noses off, and so. And what did the media do? Like today, of course, they send you sell if it's, you know. So they wrote that, and then people, all the sailors and everybody was like, oh my God, I hope I never get caught by pirates. So when they got caught, I surrender. Don't hurt me. Brilliant marketing.
You can really see the Johnny Depp guy as one of these pirates,
yes,
right? Like happy
absolutely,
guy. He's
absolutely.
just like, oh.
No, it's really worth it. Read about the pirates. They're the social justice warrior for me.
Yeah.
So they're the biggest. They're great social justice warriors. Go read about it. There's a lot of cool books out there.
What about when one thing too we haven't touched on yet with the pirates is when they attacked the other boat and they took over the boat, they would ask the other boat, how was your captain?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, that's an interesting point too. They asked the crew, like say they took a merchant marine boat or they took a navy boat, and then they asked the crew, how was your captain to you? So if the crew said, well, he was cruel, he flogged us for everything, he didn't give us to eat, and they were cruel. If you read the stories, I mean, it was awful.
Yeah,
I mean, they,
awful.
you know,
they boat rowing if there's no wind or whatever.
And how they treated them. You know, like they had 12-year-old, 13-year-old boys working aboard. Sometimes they killed them, you know, because they did something wrong or something, like awful. So when the sailors told the pirates, yeah, he was awful, you know, he did this and that, they tortured him in front of the crew, you know, cut the tongue out, nose, and all this stuff. They all funky, crazy stuff, like. Yeah. So what happened? What if the crew said, no, and that happened? That's, you know, that's in history. You can read that in like, if the crew said, no, he was a good captain, he treated us well. It happened that they said, the pirates said, okay, look, we got 3 boats from you. You keep one. You get some stuff. You go back to England. We let you go. You're a good guy. You know, imagine they let them go. So what happened? That's what I like to. So that, of course, that started making the round. People talked about it. They were like, so imagine you're a captain. You're one of these cruel captains who treat your people like nothing, and then you suddenly hear like, the bad captains get their tongues ripped out. They got whatever, the eyes and whatever, you know. You're like, I start better treating my people with respect. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
In this time, it's the work condition for the merchant marine sailors and the guys in the Navy started changing dramatically, because all the captains, they didn't want to be the one when the Blackbeard or somebody was standing there and it's like, you were a bad captain? Yeah. Come here. Yeah. You know, they won't be like the ones that the crew says, no, he was a nice guy. He was actually a good leader. And imagine that. So they were actually creating better working conditions, the pirates.
Yeah, a better world.
And
because everyone's afraid of getting caught. And you're thinking, oh my God, foreshadowing and so.
And imagine, you know, imagine how society was back then. You know how they recruited people for the Navy? You know, now we always think like, the government is correct, you know, that's the good side, and the pirates are the outlaws, so when you're an outlaw, you're a bad person. Let's take the fact how they recruited people. Now, imagine you're like a 19-year-old lad or something, you know, you're there at the harbor, you're drinking, or 18, 16 years old, you're drinking, you get a little bit drunk, you're you're there at the bar, at the club, pub, whatever, you're falling asleep, or you're just there partying a little bit with people. Then the press gangs came. Press gang, that's the recruiters. So they talked to you, they gave you to drink. As soon as you're drunk, they took you, put you in a boat. They maybe beat you even, that you're unconscious, put you in a boat, and that's it. And then they were kidnapping young kids. They even broke into houses or hotels, took people out and said, now you're in the Navy. And you stayed, you know, if you left with a Navy boat, you didn't come back for a year later. Yeah. So you're there. They took sometimes merchants, marines. They didn't earn anything, these poor guys. This was the worst working condition you can imagine. They arrived back somewhere, whatever, in London, whatever. They came back, you know, were there. As soon as they were there, they didn't even get paid yet from the merchant marine. The press gang comes, puts them on the boat. They were like, when did I don't even get the money from who cares? You're now in the Navy. Yeah. Point. They even had to buy their own uniforms and stuff. So, you know, like the first salary was basically you're in debt. They imagine, like, awful.
We got it good right now.
We had it good. Or like kids, you know, go read the stuff about London in the 17th, 18th century. There were like 4-year-old kids cleaning chimneys. 4-year-old boys sending down the chimneys.
Because they could fit in them.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, 4-year-old kids, and then when they didn't do a good job, they were beaten. They didn't get, like sometimes they were stuck. They didn't take them out.
Yeah.
They got blind. They got sick from the dust and everything. People didn't care.
Oh my gosh.
And what was the biggest entertainment back then? Now we go see a hockey game. We go see whatever,
Theater?
No, it was public executions.
Okay.
So just to say how, when you say, oh, the pirates were cruel. No, they were that was the times.
Yeah.
It was cruel times. And if you make an execution, if that's the biggest event, you sell tickets and everybody's there to see how somebody gets hanged or chopped his head off. It's other times. And I don't want to condemn these times. I'm glad we're not living in this time right now. But it was other times. We always have to see the whole picture and not just like, oh, the pirates were mean. No, they tried to get out of this system and tried to create something different. And of course, they did steal. Yes. Yeah. But did the government steal too? Yes, they kidnapped even people. What I mean? It's like,
no,
it's
exactly the same except for the human people were trying to be human.
Yes.
Because they were outside of the government.
Yes.
And one of the main rules is you were teaching me yesterday is that, did Edison say it, or if the government gets too big, you got to rebel?
Jefferson, yeah.
Jefferson.
It's like once in a while you have to rebel.
In the Constitution, right?
Yes.
It's written.
I don't know. I think he said it anyway. He said like once in a while a revolution is necessary. People have to rise up.
Yeah.
And if you read the founding fathers of the U.S. who had this big liberty in mind. There's a lot of stuff like. It's not, the government is here for the people.
For the people.
By the people.
Not above. Condemning.
Yes. And that's what the pirates were. They were people who tried to leave the system, create the better world, and they did in Madagascar. And so, they created such societies that were actually democratic societies. And I don't want to romanticize it. As I said, there was other times. There was also cruelness.
Those were the times.
There were other times, but they're not as bad as they were painted. And why did the government paint them bad back then? Because they were actually afraid that more people would follow their lead. Yeah. And that was also, in some books, I saw documents from the British government saying we have to be careful that the people don't start getting that taste of this from what the pirates do, because they could suddenly want that. And that's not good. We have to keep the power, we have to control the people. Yeah. And so
speaking of controlling the people, how did the school systems come apart? This is an interesting story.
Well, the public school, I mean, before the industrialization, we had schools, but it was not mandatory and all that. And it was during the industrialization in the 19th century that schools became more and more like government, mandatory. Yeah. So if you look at the schools still nowadays, they're still kind of like the same. Like there, you have a classroom, people sit in rows. They start at a certain time, they finish at a certain time. You have one leader, the teacher, and he teaches you. You have to sit there quietly, do what the teacher says. Of course, it's not as extreme anymore. And back then, they were beating kids if they didn't behave, and so today that's not. But still, there's a lot of they punish people otherwise. They don't beat them, but they still, if you don't behave, you get expelled. You get a note, whatever. But the system is kind of the same. But why did they have the system? It was pushed a lot by the industrialists themselves, because what did they need? They needed people who are able to work for 10, 12 hours quietly. Sitting down, doing their job, having one boss who tells them what to do. And so what did they say? They said, okay, what is the best age? Yeah, like 14, because then they don't pee in their pants anymore. They can be quite independent, like they're doing. You don't have to control them that much. They're not just, kids before, they sometimes do whatever, but no, like 14, 15. So they said, like 8, 9 years school, that's good. Then they come out right in the factory, and they're trained to obey. They trained to sit there, do their job. They learn to read and write. What they need, because sometimes in the factories, you need it also. You've got maybe the thing like, okay, read the checklist, that's what you have to do. Yeah. do that, and then that's it. And they were trained to sit there for 10 hours, 12 hours, and they were used that if they don't do well, boom, they get they get beaten. So okay, it was training camp for factory workers.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to judge back then. That was the time,
But
and
now
they
it's not the
needed
time, yeah.
they needed this, and industrialization gave a lot of good stuff for us.
Yeah.
I mean, we still profit from all these things, but what I mean is, I think it's time now. And that's a whole other subject, but I think it's time to adapt our education system to the times now, where it's.
Yeah. I totally do too. Totally,
we
right?
need. If you see what's going
We're
on,
not getting taught how to control our money. We're not getting taught how to make money. We're not getting taught how to control our emotions. We're not getting taught how a little bit of physical education. We're not really getting talk about. It's all of a sudden just going down to like this big huge melting pot of everything's good.
Yeah.
And
I think what the future will show us. We have right now. You see how it's so fast. Everything's changing. New technology and all that stuff. We have to be. If you want to succeed in the future, you have to be adaptable. Like you have to be able to adapt to new situations.
Yeah.
That's one thing. We have to be, and that means creativity. We need creativity.
Yeah.
Do we teach kids creativity, open-mindedness? Like that's what we need. We need to teach the kids to collaborate.
Yep.
How to collaborate with other people, with people from all over the world, like other cultures, and so because we cannot do it on our own. We need to collaborate. We have to be creative. We need to have to collaborate, and we should be able to communicate with each other. So you can be a brilliant mind who cannot communicate. You're there in your corner, but you need to be able to communicate. And
now in this day and age, right now, as we speak about the big thing that's happening, it's hard to even communicate or even talk about anything. Like Mathias is from Switzerland, which I'm finding out. I want you to tell us a bit more about Switzerland in a sec, but here's this great big thing happening on the entire planet, and if you speak out about it, all of a sudden you're like, for example, your whole YouTube channel can be shut down.
Yep.
Because you're speaking about something that's super important for the whole planet, and we don't even want to mention it because all of a sudden, your YouTube channel cannot get. If we talk about what's going on in the big planet with everyone wearing these and with this thing going around, so I don't even want to talk about that. But what I wanted to.
But an important point here is just quick. Maybe I said before: communication, creativity, cooperation, and critical thinking.
Yeah.
And I think we lost. I think during this time right now, we lost this critical thinking. And critical thinking doesn't mean I have to be against something. So, but we're like, there's like the one side says it doesn't, it's bad, and the other said it's good.
Yeah.
No, it's maybe the truth is in somewhere in between. But let's be open-minded, be critical also,
had his. Didn't have, right?
Yeah,
and he had his because he wanted to come to Canada and travel,
yes.
and your kids haven't, and we're both looking at these big. We both have, critically thinking, and whether a person has, I don't care.
It's a choice.
It's a choice. It's all about freedom.
Yes.
Because
I did even the booster. It's my choice.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm not sure if it's good. Because I don't know. I don't know if it's good to not be vaccinated.
Well, yeah.
You made a choice. I made a choice.
Right. There is a little
but it's
risk
like you're not a better or worse person because of me. It's a choice, and we don't know. I'm not. We don't know.
No, we don't.
We don't. But we kind of like we believe. And anyway,
but that's how it does feel if you can't go to a restaurant. I can walk into a restaurant with a mask on, which has 18% of the air coming out of it, right? Because the mask, the air is coming out. You can walk into a restaurant, order some food, and then walk out, but I'm not allowed to sit down and eat.
Yeah.
So it does, making the people feel. But okay, you guys, most of the people watching this are probably from Canada or America. I'm just going to put that out there, but it might not be true. But I'm Canadian, so I'm going to be putting this out to Canadian friends and stuff like that. And this guy's from Switzerland. And let's just be real here for a sec. What country on the planet holds most of the world's monies? Answer the question.
Yeah, it's Switzerland.
Switzerland, okay? What country on the planet, what country in the entire, I don't know about all the countries, but what country literally will defend themselves but won't go to war?
Switzerland.
Switzerland, right? Canada, we went to war. We're over there attacking Iraq people, you guys. So we think we're such greatness, but we're attacking the Iraqis because America and the NATO are doing that. But they're not attacking anybody. And attacking people when they're on the other side of the planet doing something may not be the right thing, right? Back to critical thinking. Maybe it was a good thing. But my point is, let's learn, as Canadians or Americans, let's learn something from a guy who's from Switzerland who's been teaching me something. Where do you hear about some of this stuff? Can you just teach us a little bit about your political system? Like we have this leader and you guys have...
We don't. Like we have a very unique system and it's called direct democracy. And I really believe, that we have even though it could be pure, but we have probably the purest form of democracy on earth. Yeah. The sovereign are the people. The people have always the last say.
And what does sovereign mean? Free, right?
The sovereign is like it's the ones in power. It's the people who rule. Okay, it's the people who rule. Everything we vote on everything, like basically on everything. We go vote like we had a like if you have an idea, say you want that everybody. Crazy idea, huh? Whatever. Like your idea is like
ban smoking, tobacco smoking.
Smoking
illegal.
I want to make smoking illegal. That could be something. You find 100,000 people who sign this, and then we vote about it if we want that. Everybody can do that. 100,000 signatures in a country with 8 million people is not that much.
Yeah.
If the government, if the executive decides a law, you can always also come and say, I don't like that law. 50,000 signatures and we have to vote about it. So everybody has a say and it's easy, like everyone. You don't need to be rich, you don't need to have a super education. If you don't like something, you vote on it. Yeah. You can do that. And most stuff the government, we have to vote anyway about it. It's not even, we don't even have to ask for it. It's like, it's mandatory. A lot of stuff is mandatory. Certain laws are that we have to vote. So we vote 4 times a year, just for national, with like sometimes 4 or 5 different topics. Then we vote about 4 or 5 times on cantonal level. Then we vote on local level. We vote on everything. That's what I say. It's pure democracy.
How long does a vote take?
A weekend. It's always a weekend.
Going, just like a vote here, you go to vote 4 times a year, run in.
Yeah, and then you
one person just have to go in, cast your vote.
No. You can vote by mail, or you can vote go in and put it in. You get all the stuff. You read the stuff. People are interested. They have to read, and then they go vote. And then the other system is that we don't have a president, or we don't have a prime minister. We don't need that because we don't like it.
I don't need a prime minister. No. Excuse me for interrupting. Yeah, I don't. I've always said that. I don't.
No, we have 7 guys, 7 ministers,
and maybe women.
Yeah. Okay. There's also women. It's like and the 7.
Sorry to say and maybe, but
no,
you never know.
And there's on the 7, there's different parties in there. It's like, and they call it like kind of like the magical solution. It's like the strongest parties get some seats. Not like if one party has 50%, doesn't mean this party gets 3 or 4 seats. No. It's like if you're strong, you get normally 2 seats. The 2-3 strong parties get 2, and then the little bit weaker 1. Or like they always try to find a solution that fits. And this 7 ministers, that's the executive on national level. They have to decide together. So if let's say, go back to the tobacco. If like the ministers, if the executive says, they talk about it, and then you have 3.
It's killing people. It's
3 guys are like, oh, you know what? That's.
But they have freedom. They should be allowed to smoke.
Exactly. So
but it's killing people. They should not be allowed to smoke.
So they talk about it in a chamber, closed off. They talk about everything. It's not
just
public.
7 people.
The 7. They talk about it. When they come out of the chamber, they speak it with one voice. And you don't know who was for and who was against it. They don't say it. They're not going to meet.
They decided is legal and people can smoke.
Yes, and even if you were hardcore against it,
you're like in the Green Party and you're like against it, but and you don't know
exactly.
So
you come out, and that's the thing, and then you come out, and of course we know probably who is because of the party affiliation, but you can ask then a guy and say, but come on, the journalists go, but are you really? It's like, yes, because of this and this reasons. Because they come out with one voice.
Yeah.
And 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 we want that balance of power. So we don't want one person who's like more powerful than the other. No, 7, and it's perfect. Also,
So I'm against it. I got to get clear on this, you guys, because we're talking about a better world right here, and I think they have a better system. So normally, no, he said no, I said yes, right? No, I'm still against it. Our leader is stupid. We have opposition party and the leader. Oh, he's stupid. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Instead, I'm really against it. Sorry. I'm really against it. Yes, no, we've decided that smoking is about free will, and the person wants to smoke, they're allowed to smoke. It's their own free choice. Yeah. We have decided. And you can see how powerful that is, because we're not talking about the reason why or the argument, it's just this is why. Because it is free choice. And right now, I would like to pass a law that says smoking is illegal, and I'm an ex-smoker. But really, it's free choice. And with all this other thing that's going on the planet, right? Like, it is free choice, right?
That's the thing. But it's like, and then you have, this, and also people, they don't ever understand, you have no president. And then what we did is, because other countries don't understand, if you don't have a president, the president wants to meet the president, when he comes to visit. So what we do is, one of the 7 is, every year it changes, one of the 7 is, they call it primos inter pares. Like he's like the
primos
inter pares, which like he's like
acting.
He's acting president kind of like, but he has no powers. All he does is he's the guy who can go when there's an official visit, like if there's where they have to represent Switzerland, it's him or her, and then the year later it's the other one, and then it's the other one. But there's no power. It's just like representative. It's like
no ego, no huge big. It's Trump. It's Obama. It's Trudeau. Like it's amazing how much ego gets involved.
It's the federal council. It's the federal council. It's not the name behind it. It's like their function. Again, it's like and then
they're going to report back.
Yes,
and they met you.
Yeah, and then we have a parliament, the legislator. Like the members of parliament, national level, and they're not professionals. They're not career politicians. There are some who are who live from that, but we don't want career politicians. We want people that are rooted still, who have their feet on the ground.
Is it possible that career politicians, you guys, black and white, do you trust politicians? Yes or no? The answer is no. No one does. Black or white. Does everybody in Canada and North America, in America, say, my mom's American, my dad's Canadian, and I've spent a lot of time in America as a kid and stuff like that. But basically, does anybody trust politicians? And the answer is no. And everybody says, okay, well, they're just politicians. I think that if a politician, if in Canada we vote for a rule, and a politician doesn't do what they said they're going to do that we voted for within 6 months, they should be out. But what happens in Canada? We say, they're just politicians.
No.
Right? Like one of our biggest guys ever said, John Kretchen, he said, I will abolish the GST if you vote for me. Yeah. So the whole Canada vote for him, and the GST is still in it's just crazy. Sorry to...
no, and that's the thing, in Switzerland, all the politicians, they have a job. Almost all. There's some who don't, but almost, you have people who are teacher, dentists, or whatever, and they're the lawyer. There's a lot of lawyers. There's farmers, who are politicians. They're part-time politicians. So you don't need to be an opportunist because you have a job. If you're only politician, you're a career politician. All you think is like, I want to be re-elected. I have to be re-elected. It's not. I don't have income anymore. What do I do? Yes. I need to be re-elected. So I have to do what do the polls say?
Yes.
But if you're independent, you have your own. You're whatever.
That's right. You're not desperate to get voted, so you're not like doing that politician stuff.
You do what you believe, and if you don't get elected anymore, you still have your job.
Yeah.
And your ego hurts a little bit maybe if you're not elected, but it's not your livelihood that is like at risk.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome.
You guys have the big three, if we have like the Green Party or in the States, you got Democratic, Republic, and
we have several parties, and the biggest party is like the Conservative Party, which is called the Swiss People's Party.
Canada's got conservative, liberal.
Yeah. Then we have the Conservative. We have the Social Democrats. That's the second bigger one. Like that's more the left wing. Yeah. Then we have the Green Party, quite strong. It got stronger also in the last decade.
I think that's good. I think that's good. It should be like everybody should be like.
Then we have the Green Liberal Party, which is a Green Party, but not as fundamentalists like the Green. They're less. They're not so left. They're not left leaning. They're more like. In a lot of stuff, they're like for freedom. They're not like, oh, we have to stop the economy and everything. They are for the economy. They're a lot for science-based, but we should look for the environment. So that's the Green Liberal, very popular right now. They were strong. Then we have different. We have a center party, which also is more in this kind like not too weak. Like they're probably around. Well, I think about 8-9% maybe. Like so it's a little bit in the middle, and then we have some smaller parties like evangelist parties, evangelists more left leaning, evangelists like more right leaning. We have really lots of parties, which is sometimes complicated, but on the other hand, as I said, everybody can participate.
Everybody votes 4 times a year.
Yes.
And does everybody? You mentioned to me you have low crime rate.
Yeah.
Why do you have low crime rate?
Well, there's several reasons. I think one is that we have a low poverty rate. That's to begin with. Like people have it quite good. Like we have a high standard of living because we have a good system. Because I think that's all in the consequences from that. We have a good political system. We have a stable political system. We didn't go to war. You mentioned it before. We only defend our country. We're neutral. We don't go in other countries to fight. We're just there.
And
prepared,
it's surrounded by mountains, which is really nice,
helps,
right?
And it helps to defend.
Yeah.
So we have an army, armed forces just to defend. If somebody attacks us, we don't go attack others. So we stayed out of war. We have economically all went well, the banks and all the stuff. So we didn't have to rebuild after the Second World War, while all the rest of Europe had to rebuild. They spent a lot of money for military and for rebuilding and all the stuff because everything was destroyed.
Huge money.
We didn't have to. So we were after Second World War. We had much a better start. Same after the First World War. We stayed out of it.
Wow.
So that's one reason. Like economically. We're good. We have a stable system, and we have and so that makes already less crime rate. And then I think, and that's what I believe is.
I like this. I like this part.
We have a mandatory conscript, like mandatory military service. Every able young man.
I don't like that part too much, but
has to do.
Let him explain.
Has to do military service if you're able. That means you do 18-week basic training, and then you do 6 times 3 weeks repetition course. That's your duty.
Yeah.
You can choose to do civil service instead. Some people choose to do civil service because if they're afraid of, if they say I can morally not whatever. So there's this possibility, but we don't have we have only very few professional soldiers like me. I'm one. But what that means, since almost everybody does the military service, they all were trained to handle an assault rifle, to handle guns.
Yeah.
So if you're
and keep open-minded while you learn this, because it took me a while to adjust. I just wanted to put that in there, but it's hard to wrap our mind around. But it's
it's like you learn to handle a gun. You know all the you're 19 or 20 years old.
Getting disciplined, and it's 18 weeks, the first time?
It's 18 weeks, yes.
And then after that, within
6 times
10 years?
3, you have to do 6 repetition course for 3 weeks a year. But you can choose when you do, like you have 10 years time.
To do 6 3-week...
3 weeks courses, repetition course, yes.
Which 20-year-old out there, right now, all the 20-year-olds, all the 50-year-olds who have 20-year-old kids, which 20-year-old male and female, and mostly male?
For male, it's mandatory, female, it's volunteer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who would have... I would have so done well. I don't want to go 2 years like my father-in-law, and I'm sorry to interrupt. This is an important point, because this is, the Big Dreams Club. We need better in our life, right? So they're protecting themselves. They're not attacking other countries. But an 18-year-old, 19-year-old gets disciplined for 18 weeks, which is, what's that? 4 months times 4 is 16, so 4.5 months.
Yes.
So you're gone away from the house, getting really learning the foundations of discipline, getting up, making your bed, all the push-ups.
Yes.
Running.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you're learning how to use a gun, And then over the next 10 years, you go there 3 times, right?
Yes.
Or I think
Six
you even
times.
said
6 times, 3 weeks.
6 times 3 weeks, which is little top-ups. And if you're working for someone, you get paid, right?
Yes, yeah. You get your pay.
You're getting your
like
pay.
You pay, yeah.
You're going to learn, and all of a sudden, every house so the criminals know that every single house.
Yeah, you can.
Sorry,
that's the thing.
okay.
You can. If you're 19 or 20 years old, you learn how to shoot, and you can shoot. And the training, it's like it's out of your system, because every 19, 20-year-old guy or mom, a lot of them, they like to shoot once,
But or fantasize about it, like I.
And you do, and you learn it, and you do it in a secure environment, and they teach you. And after 18 weeks, you're kind of like, that's it. I saw it. I don't need to go in the forest or whatever and try out. So because you did it, you can keep your assault rifle. Every Swiss man who did the military keeps his assault rifle, and he takes it home. Yeah. You have to imagine, after the 18 weeks recruit school, you take your assault rifle home and you bring it with when you go back to the repetition course.
Wow!
It's not like you get it's your gun, it's your responsibility, and you keep it after. So every Swiss household, like I have my grandfather's. My grandfather's, like normal rifle. Then I have 2 different assault rifles. That one from my father, the one that I have. Then I have several. I have the pistol from my I have the 4 different pistols from that we got. But you know what? Everybody has that at home, and we have no crime rate because people know how to handle guns. And to be honest, are you going to break in a house when there is somebody, probably a high probability, there's somebody living who has a gun at home because he got it from the government, an assault rifle, and on plus, he knows how to handle it.
It's a 99% chance because there's a man or
yes.
It's a 99% chance someone in that house knows how to use a gun and has one. So I'm not robbing them.
No, that's the thing.
And I'm against guns in against guns and against nukes in my big planet. But right now we're living in the real world, and these guys aren't having you have lots of mass shootings?
No, rare. That can happen, but that's a psychological.
It is, yeah.
I think it happened last time, like 95 or something. It was something, and that was a big thing because nothing happens in Switzerland.
Now it's every 2 weeks.
Now, of course, people say also, but sometimes people use the guns for suicide, which is a sad thing. Of course, that's true, and there's studies who say if you have a gun, the chance is higher that you use it. But at the end, that's my opinion. I think it's really sad that people come to a point where they want to end their life, and we should make it more about why do people come to there, and not how they, like more. And it's sad that people come so far, and that's the same with when people say, oh, we have to ban guns. It's my opinion. It's not the guns who kill the people. It's the people behind the gun. And what happens that somebody comes to a point where he wants to kill somebody or kill himself? We should have a society where people find other solutions and they feel loved or whatever, or that there's somebody there for them that they don't have to go so desperate that they have to do that. Yeah. So I think it's not a problem of guns. It's a problem of society, but we don't have an epidemic or something, with suicide or so.
No,
but
in a big world, on the big worldwide scale, we do have big problems, and there are guns out there, and there are mean people out there, and they're mean governments, and there's and people like we haven't been attacked for years in Canada.
Yes,
but imagine someone to come and attack your country.
Absolutely,
it would suck not to have a gun.
Absolutely, that's what we do. We just want to defend. We want to be ready to defend. And I think that's absolutely ethically and morally correct. If somebody attacks you, you're going to defend. Yeah. But you don't need to use excessive force, but you need the force that you're able to get the danger away. Yeah. And that's what it is.
What did your farmer, they had a farmer running sort of in
the Second World War, one of the ministers, that was also, it was funny. Like one of the defense minister in the Second World War was a farmer, and he worked as a farmer, and he was defense minister, and he was, there's a lot of rumors or like legends about him, because he was such a down-to-earth man, he was a big guy, like who, back then they did it by hand, they did the field, there's pictures
his back's like this wide.
And he was like that, and you see pictures of the Minister of Defense with the plow, you know, like doing the land.
Yeah.
And he was, there was some stuff was said like, you know, that Hitler phoned him up and he didn't pick up the phone right away or something, you know, and then Hitler was like, I am the Führer. Why are you not picking up the phone right away? And then he's like, I don't care about any Führer. I have to make my field.
Yeah.
And you're nobody here. You know, like, we don't care about you. Yeah. And I mean, you have to imagine, a small country, and they talk like, they were actually talking like that. They showed Hitler that, no, you're not our Führer. Yeah. We don't care about
Surrounded
Führer.
by Nazi.
Italy, Mussolini was Nazi. Austria was taken was Germany. So Nazis. France was Vichy France after the Germans took them. We were surrounded by Nazis.
100%.
And they hated us. They hated us. I agree. We also made business with them.
Yeah.
We also made business with them. But they knew also that they cannot just easily attack us, because it's not just because Switzerland did also business, because we're neutral. We did business with the Allies and we did business with the German. But if the German invaded every country, so they didn't stop because somebody made business with them.
No.
But they said, I think at the end they were like measuring out and saying like, it cost us so much to attack them, and we still can make business, so it makes it not really worse to sacrifice that many soldiers just to, as long as they,
because for 1,000 years, you guys had a plan back in the day that when they were trying to attack, you're on top of the mountain, so you drop a bunch of rocks down, and you just keep going up higher than the mountain.
A little bit like that. Yeah, we would have retired like more and more in the mountains, and it's getting more and more difficult to attack there. And we defend, yes. And if you're higher up, you're always in an advantage.
Yeah.
And like there's only small roads. There's no you cannot come into Switzerland with like, you know, when you saw the pictures in Iraq, all the tanks next to each other, forget it. We have like small roads, we have pass roads. Like they're coming one after the other. You destroy the first one, the whole column.
It'll be a big pile, a big mess.
And it's a mess, and they're stopped. Like it is difficult, and that's why I think that's also one of the reasons why the whole neutrality worked in Switzerland so well, because we have a favorable environment. The Belgians, it didn't work. Belgium's flat, they were run over every time, and they were neutral. It didn't work for them. We have the advantage of the mountains, of the environment.
Wow. I think I might move to Switzerland.
Wait, I was going to see something.
All right.
Not that. I should make sure.
How much time is left? Good. I'll edit out where I said Switzerland.
It's good. It's
like I was just that up.
No, I was just wanted to make sure that it's really taping.
Oh my gosh!
But so we have. But it's
okay. So I'm going to segue us.
Yeah,
I'm going to do a segue. All right. In case we're just talking about. All right. So in Belgium, and then So wait a second. Where are we going now? So.
Yeah, with democracy and everything. So.
No. Okay. So now. All right. Great. So now sort of a little bit more about personal success. In the military, you yourself, when you start off as a private, how many layers are there to colonel, please?
Yeah. So in this, I explain you that too, but I explain you right away also the system how it is in Switzerland. In Switzerland, you start at the bottom. You start as a recruit, everyone.
Yeah.
You don't come in as an officer. You don't go in a school and you become an officer.
Okay.
Other countries, they have this,
officer training.
Yes, and we don't have officer training, but you start at the bottom as a recruit. Then you become a soldier, a private.
Yeah.
Then you become if you want to go on, then you become a corporal or a sergeant, like you lead a group.
Yeah.
When you do that well, you can become a lieutenant, a platoon leader, like you lead 20, 25 people. If you do that well, you become like a first lieutenant. After that, you can become a captain, a company commander. You lead 150 people. If you do that well, you become a major. You go in a battalion staff. You work in a battalion staff, like a battalion has roughly 1,000 people. You work in that staff. If you do that well, again, you can go up to lieutenant colonel, which could be a battalion commander, leading 1,000 people. If you do that well, you become a colonel, and then you're like in a brigade staff or something like this. And after colonel, then it's 1-star general, 2-star general, 3-star general. The highest in Switzerland is 3-star, and I'm a colonel. But you work your way up through the ranks.
Yep.
You cannot come in like from the side. I'm studied and I'm becoming like right away an officer. No, you have to work your way up, which is a great system because you know how it feels to be a soldier. You know how it feels to be on the bottom of the food chain, how it is when people lead you, you know, and then you learn what is a good leader, and you know, how do you want to be treated.
Yeah.
You treat your people as you learn, like you saw, like, oh no, this guy, he didn't treat the people right, that was not very motivating. So you learn from that experience going up the ranks, and I think it's a very, very good system.
Yeah, and some other places like in the States and Canada, we don't have that. We just sort of can slide in.
You can slide in, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's often like you go directly, when you have a certain education, you can go directly to officer training, and then you go directly in, and you are an officer.
Down,
and then you're like, oh yeah, you come in as an officer. But we had to go from the bottom. You slept with 30 people in the same room.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you don't come in and, oh, I have my private room. Like, you did that. You were one of them that you lead in the future, which makes you much more aware of how, you know, like of the situation. Yeah. And I think that's a very good system.
Yeah. And so very successful person who I've just had the privilege to sort of live with for a month, because he's staying in our Airbnb, and we've had him over for dinner many times, teaching our kids lots and talking lots about all these things we're sharing today. And so a little bit about your family, please, Mathias. You have a wife and two girls
kids,
and one boy.
Yeah, I have
3 kids.
3 kids. Boys 17 now. Girls are 15 and 13. And I'm married to my wife, she's Canadian. Yeah.
You showed me some pictures of her the other day. She's doing the weightlifting.
Yeah, she does Olympic weightlifting. And
very, very awesome. Yeah. And it's not bodybuilding.
No.
It's weightlifting.
It's really weightlifting.
Yeah, so you're not trying to get all like...
No. It's. I mean, she is very fit. She's very built, but it's not. The goal is not to be. Is not the physique. When you're a bodybuilder, the goal is just to build a perfect physique. With her, it's like to have the perfect lift. Yeah. You know, like to be able to snatch and to do that with your, you know, with, like, to have the most weight for your, like, and also compared to your weight yourself, like. If you're able with 60 kilo to lift more, like, that's the goal, you know, like to perfect.
It was very impressive what you were showing us. It was very impressive.
She's very good at it.
All 3 of your kids are at a high level of sports?
They all do sports. They're all quite good. Like the youngest is the youngest girl. She's Western horse riding. She's actually very good at that, like, which is not a very popular sport in Switzerland. Most people do the English riding, but she does the Western riding. Okay. You know, barrel racing and all that. It's beautiful. I love it. I love to watch it. You know, like it's so cool, and she's so into it. She loves it. You know, like. And the 15-year-old girl, she's in athletics, track and field. Yeah. And in the last 2 years, she started more and more specializing in everything's throwing, and she's really good at shot put. She has very good numbers now with shot put, and also with the disc. Yeah. Like you know, I think it's everywhere a little bit like that. You start specializing around 14, 15 in track and field before you do a little bit of everything. She's not really the runner type. Yeah. She has a lot of explosivity, and she's really good at that. She has a nice technique, and now they try to push her, and hopefully she's going to be in the top. Like
Olympics? Is there Olympics?
Oh, I mean, that would be her goal, of course. But I mean, you know, that's a long, long way. Now she has to become like in the top of the 16-year-old group. Yeah. And if she makes it there, that would be already a big step. That would be a nice step. And as I said, disc, and then maybe javelin, and who knows, maybe hammer.
But what are your daughter's names?
One is Timber. Yeah. Timber, that's a little special name. Timber Rand, actually. And the 15-year-old is Reagan, like the U.S. president, former president Reagan. Yeah. It's an old Irish name, actually, for girls. People often don't know that. And then we have a 17-year-old boy, Miles.
I've met.
You met him. He lives. That's why I'm here. He lives since he came here when he's 15. Came here to Canada, and he plays ice hockey. He plays ice hockey in Canada. He does that quite. Yeah, he's in a good level, and
he's doing awesome in ice hockey. So humble. I'll be the big, the loud guy here. No, he's doing great. He's in the Quebec Major Juniors, and and one of the youngest guys there, 15.
Well, last year when he had his first game, he came in. They brought him in from another team. He was drafted in 2020. He came here, played AAA U18 for prep school. Like after he was drafted, he came over, and then they brought him in when they had injured players. So they called him up, and he stayed till the end of the season. So he was 15, and there, I think he was the third youngest player in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League at that time.
Yeah.
And so he had 11 games last season, like 5 or 6 regular and 5 or 6 playoff games. And now he's in the team, like for this season. Now he's from the beginning in the team.
He's still young.
He's still young,
right?
yeah. Yes, it's like
he's just turned 17, and you basically
now,
until 20.
Yeah, they can play like 4 years, 3-4 years.
Wow.
They can play here, and
the next level is the NHL if they get drafted.
If they get drafted, yeah.
Right. And then is there another? I guess it is the next level. It's unbelievable because I see the size of that stadium and I'm like, wow, the arena. I'm like, wow,
this is beautiful.
This is
beautiful
big stuff.
Arena.
It's like, so you must be very proud of your whole family.
Of course.
And I really like what you have taught me about being the dad. You know, you weren't the dad who was like, yeah. You just kind of stood back, supported them, were their rock, and then helped them.
Yeah.
You know, just were there for them, right? And got the coaches to do the coaching, sort of.
Yes,
right?
Yes, that's what when it comes to kids. So there's I think it's important. The parents, how the parents are with the kids when it comes to sports and education, everything's very important. Now, often I see parents, they want to do well, but actually they do the wrong things. Like they interfere too much. You know, they try, let's take sports, as you said, you know, I see parents at the rink and then they go to the kids and they tell them, no, you have to do like this, you know, I played hockey too and I do like this and don't interfere. Yeah. Let the coaches do the coaching job. I see parents who call the coaches, you know, my kid didn't, I saw such stuff. I follow now my kids since like years, you know, I see it everywhere. You know, you have the parents who phone the coach and tell, look, I measured the time and my son only played 11 minutes and the other kid played 12 minutes and the other kid is not better than mine. Well, why did he play 12 minutes and mine did 11 minutes? You have to put him in. Don't interfere with the coaches. It's coach's job. I mean, if the coach is abusive or something, of course, but it's like, I always told my kids when they came, I don't like the coach, like, then talk with him. It's you. I'm not going to talk with the coach. Yeah. It's you. But I always said, as a parent, you have to create favorable conditions for your kids. Right. And favorable conditions is not trying to influence the coach or giving the kid a good advice from the stands. Like, no, it makes the kid all like, I don't know what to do. The coach says,
stressing him out. There's my dad. There's my dad. Yes. All the kids are like, there's my dad.
It's embarrassing. Yeah. It's embarrassing. Yeah. And then and as a parent, I know it's very emotional. I watch my girls, you know, and then she does the shot put, and if it's a great throw, you're like, yes, you know, you love it. And if it's not, like, you know, but don't go after your kid and be angry because they didn't succeed or they didn't come like you expected more, you know. It's like, and then what I mean with favorable conditions, be there. Be there as a father. Play your role, or as a mother. And what is your role? Is when it doesn't go well, you give them a hug, or you tap the shoulders, you talk with them. Why didn't it go well? And then you say, but what was, it's like, that was a bad game. And so but did you see what was positive today? Yeah, they're in the second period. That was actually a good pass. See, there's something positive. Yeah. So what did you learn? And they start learning. Be there for them, and not like, and if they have a very successful game, or they come out like, I made 5 goals. I threw 11 meters, and then you have to be there. Yeah, be grateful for it. Yeah. You worked for it, but stay. Like next game can be happy about it, but maybe next game you don't have 5 goals, and life goes on also. Yeah. And
what did you learn?
And what did you learn from it? And who? Did you thank the guys who gave you the pass?
Oh yeah.
Like what helped? And just be there for them. Be the motivator. Give the pep talk when it's needed. but also don't go, like, oh, my kids are so good, and you, it's like I see some parents, they stand in the, in the stand, they're there in the stands, and that's my kid to make the goal. Oh my God, it's my kid. It's like I taught him that,
That's my kid,
and it's their moment.
Yeah.
They did it.
Yeah.
But be their rock, be their,
Yeah.
and if they want to, if they like, nice is when they come to you and say, what do you think? How did I do? If they want to know. And then it's like, oh yeah, and then they ask you, but don't go there. Oh, you have to do like this, and you have to do like this.
So many parents, all that weird pressure.
No, be there, drive them, be good to them. Look that they have good to eat. Like be their rock and be.
We can't live their lives.
No, it's they have to, and make it also fun. When they're, sports and education, everything. It's also kind of like about fun. If you like something, you do it. If you do it, you do it again because you like it.
Yeah.
The more you do it, the better you get.
Yeah.
So try to make it fun. It doesn't. It should not be like, now you have to go.
Yeah.
Like it's like it has to be like try that. They create. It's. I mean, just the way when you drive to a game or to a competition, that moment you're in the car with your kids. It's a moment of privacy. You talk, So what's going on in your mind? How are you going to do it? Like we talk about it. It's beautiful moments. It's like so be
really
there
is.
for them. It's like, and I think that's creating favorable conditions.
Yeah.
If you can help the team, not like your kid. Like go sell cookies or something, help clean the rink, whatever, that's valuable work. But don't be a second coach.
Yeah.
And
no.
And to be honest,
a lot of parents are.
Yes, and some are actually even officially coach. They go coach their own kids. Don't. That's my opinion. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Your opinion matters, right?
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Like.
What about the parents up in the stands drinking beer, throwing beer cans?
I saw everything, and
when you watch them, you told me this. When you watch them, you can see if that kid will be around in 2 years.
That's true.
Because we're modeling our parents, you guys, right? And to become a professional NHL hockey player or a professional baseball player, professional cake maker, right?
Yes.
Or a professional anything.
Yeah.
You got to be a professional. That's what I'm learning now at 51 years old.
Yeah. And that's what I believe. I believe a lot in this, as parents, we are role models. Role model, I mean, we are role models. Now the question is, are we a good role model or are we a bad role model?
Yeah.
But we are role models for our kids. It's actually in leadership everywhere is like this. The boss is a role model for his employees. The captain is one of our soldiers.
Program's always running,
It's always running.
Yeah.
So we are role models for our kids. That we have to be aware. And so I'm sorry, but if it's like if you get wasted as a father in front of your kids, if you drink and you get, your kids think it's normal. They probably think it's not. They're not feeling not comfortable about when the father's drunk.
It's the way it is.
It's the way it is. And guess who's going to drink with 16?
Yeah.
And if you let yourself go as a parent, let's say you're like obese.
Yeah.
Because you don't eat well, you don't move yourself, you don't, and then you tell your kid you have to work hard on the track, can't go running.
Yeah, you don't, Dad.
That's the thing,
right?
Like that's the thing, it's like it's so much, and that's what I mean with creating good, favorable circumstance. Also, be aware that you're a role model. If you don't sleep enough, how are you going to tell your kids that they have to sleep enough? It's so not credible.
Yeah.
You can tell, you have to sleep 8 hours a day, and you yourself like sit in front of TV watching stupid TV shows till 1 a.m. and go through your social medias.
And wake up always tired.
And you're tired, cranky. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like if you're a cranky person, if you yell at your wife, well, your kids see that, so they think that's a way how you can cope with problems. So they yell at their friends, so they yell at their. No, that is create a positive environment. Know, like that you are a role model, and be that person. Be that person. If you wish that your kids become a champion, yeah, show them, and don't expect it from them. You know, like just help them. But at the end, it's their life, it's their decision, but you as a parent, you have to be aware. And I saw that. You know, sorry if I see parents, you know, watching their kids on a track and field or at the hockey rink, and in the break they go outside, you know, smoking, and then they're talking about, you know, my kid's going to be pro and everything. It's like, no, if they copy you, it's
guys,
over.
You see how really how clearly and how important that really is, you guys? We're all learning about mindset right now. We're all learning about mirror neurons, and you can talk all you want, but the kids see it. Their brain actually creates a mirror neuron.
Absolutely.
And then now it's a part of the brain that says, okay, that's how reality is.
Yes.
And from 0 to 7, they're being programmed. So if you have young kids, be really clear about how you're being and really clear about the lies you're saying. And if you keep saying, oh, we don't have enough money, we don't have enough money, we don't have enough money, there's never enough money, right? They're learning that there's never enough money, and they're going to have this big block for their whole life. Instead of saying, hey, man, make a decision, work hard, set your goals, right? His son, since he was 6, knew the hockey goal, right? Like, that's unbelievable. So what if
absolutely.
So what would you tell a kid, what would you tell a person, whether they're 50, 60, or 10 or 20, and they have a big dream?
Yeah. I would ask them, like always ask the people, and that's also with adults, it's like, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be, really? And if they say, you know, that's the first question, who do you want to be? If somebody tells me, my dream is to have a Ferrari, it's like, who do you want to be? Why do you want to have a Ferrari? Because, you know, like, think about it. Who do you want to be and why? And then suddenly you realize, is that the only way to, is that really your dream, or is it you want that Ferrari because you want to attract people? Maybe all you want is love, and you think with that Ferrari I can attract people who look up to me, and then I have new friends, or you know. So first you have to be clear, what do you really want? And if somebody tells me after, if somebody says, I want to be a champion, I want to be a world champion, I want to be whatever, then it's like, so what do you have to do for it? And you talk about it, it's like, you can ask them, it's like, what do you think? Is it as a champion? Do you drink water, or do you drink beer? Or do you drink pop? It's clear, the answer is clear, water, of course, okay. Yeah. Do you smoke as a champion, as a future champion? No, I don't. Okay,
just a little bit.
Exactly. That's the thing. And then if you break it down.
I heard about one boxer in 1930. He smoked a pack a day. And he was a champion. Right?
Yeah, so it's over today. You know, it's over. Yeah. And then you break it down, and then you ask, are you willing to sacrifice all that, these little pleasures, drinking a beer, going to bed at midnight, sleeping only 5 hours, going partying? Are you willing to sacrifice all these little pleasures for the big dream, for that what you want? Because if not, it's not really your dream, and it's not really what you want. So be clear about it. And if once you're clear about it and say, I want that, then you know, everybody knows exactly what they have to do. Yeah. Everybody. And
then it's easy.
And then it's easy.
There's a rock in my way. I'm going up that hill. There's a big rock. Okay, I have to go around the rock.
Exactly.
Oh, there's a log drop. I got to go over it.
And that's the thing. But you have to know what you want and what are you willing to sacrifice. It's suffering to go there. Yeah. You know, it's like you have to decide. Coke, water.
That's right. That's not suffering, though. Pepsi is going to kill you. Right? So it's really what you really want to do is actually, so he's right, but at the same time we can allow ourselves to make it easy.
Yes, but if you need to know what you want.
And if you're 15, you can do 100 push-ups.
Yes.
You can do the wind sprints. Right? It's actually easier than doing this for like having no energy. So you guys use it while you can. But know where you're going, know where you're going, then and why you want to do it.
Why you want to do it. And then basically you know also the way. Yeah. You know the way. Yeah. And then work hard on it.
The how can change, right?
The how can, yes, absolutely. And that's also something like there's many ways that go to Rome. You know, that they said, you want to go, you have a goal in front of you, but you know what? Maybe there's an obstacle. Well, then go around the obstacle.
Yeah.
Maybe the obstacle actually is what makes you stronger.
Yeah.
You know, find another way. Don't give up. Don't be persistent, but don't be stupid. If you try 3-4 times the same way, you don't have to abandon. You just have to find another way. And maybe sometimes the way is going a step, 2-3 steps back, look at it from another angle, and you find another solution. And I think that's really, that's the thing, you know why, you know, and then as soon as you know why, you know your north. It's like a compass. You know where you want to go. And then actually, you know, you find the way. You will find the way.
Your success mechanism kicks in, right?
Yes.
The universe now knows that you know where you're going. And it's going to start lining up all that magnet, all that law of attraction, everything, because you know where you're going. So do you know where you're going? Okay, yes or no? If you do, why are you doing it? Okay, now what about if a person doesn't? And just touching base back to Switzerland, we're going to just sort of do a little bit of rapid fire to sort of wrap up a little bit, okay? Person's 13 in Switzerland, and all of a sudden the school system. Does everybody, like in Canada here, Mathias has mentioned that everybody here has a degree, right? Everybody has a degree. And a lot of people aren't using that degree, right? Is what I think I was learning from that. But in Switzerland, how does the high school sort of prepare you for life? What happens?
Well, we have basically a 3-level system. You have primary school, secondary school, and then you have the high school. And if you finish high school, you basically have the right to go to university. So most people actually, they finish their school after secondary school and do an apprenticeship. Like it's only like about, I think it's about 20% who do finish high school, and of this 20% is about 10 to 15 who actually really go to university. So we don't have that many people, like Canadians are always surprised, like, oh, I have a bachelor, I have a master's, and in Switzerland there's not that many who have that. But they learned a job, they learned to be carpenter, and they learned it from scratch with an apprenticeship parallel with schooling. Like to be honest, they're really good at it. If you finish, it's a 4-year apprenticeship where you go, which is there's rules how that goes. There's only carpenters who are certified, you know, and all that. And on parallel, you go on to school. So you do that, all that stuff, like with every job. Every job, basically, you can do that. So a lot of people do an apprenticeship. They're very good at what they're doing. They're very good. And what's the good thing is you don't have people who have a degree, and because everybody has a degree, there's not enough jobs for these people with this degree. And so at the end, they end up doing something completely different.
That's what's happening here.
That's what's happening. And so when you decide to become, I studied psychology. I have a master's in psychology. But if you decide that you're really sure you want to do that, you just don't do it like, oh yeah, it's kind of cool. I go a little bit studying. And on plus, we don't have the student loans. You know, because not that many people go study. It's cheaper. We have, by the way, we have very good universities, like some of the top ranked in the world. But you don't pay 40, 50, 60,000. It's like it's for everybody's payable. When you're done, you have your masters or whatever, you're debt free.
Wow.
So, and then you have to think, if somebody makes an apprenticeship, he starts when he's 15, 16, 17, with 18 he's done. He starts working. He starts earning good money already. So instead of going to university and studying for 8 years, whatever, when this person, she or he is 26, she has already saved money because she earned 4,000 or 5,000 a month.
8 years.
And you know what I mean? Like we don't have this problem with the student loans, this debts and stuff. And people, I think it's important that we have quality people who know what they're doing when they're painter, when they're carpenter, when they're. And I don't say that people here don't know what they're doing. No, don't get me wrong, but the education is really. Like if you finished your apprenticeship in Switzerland, we know what they can. They have been tested. They know, and you know that there's that level of craftsmanship.
And my wife, you guys, is from Edmonton, and when she was in Edmonton, about 16 years old, the high school she went to happened to have this hair training sort of center. So she apprenticed hair cutting. And at 18, she was like a full-on, rockin' hairdresser. So So we have a lot to learn, and I was just pointing that out because that's pretty important. Now, a person who's 18 or 16 or 17 or any person who doesn't really know what they want to do, that's a hard, like a lot of people I talk to, like, I don't know what I want to do. Anything from like the colonel down in your experience and you know, being around the world and just anything you would tell that person?
I would say, like, look, really, like, it's, as you said, it's really difficult at that young age to know what you want to become, you know, like what kind, like what. Now the nice thing nowadays is, you know, you start with a job and after 10 years you probably change your job. It's so, nowadays there's so many possibilities. You know, you go back in the 1950s, you started with your job and you ended with that job. You know, you were once a watchmaker and you finished as a watchmaker, as an example. Nowadays you start as a hairdresser, like a barber or something, and after 5 years you go into computers. Like, it's all up to you. You know, you can. There's so many possibilities, but you have to know what you want. What is your passion? Ask yourself, what do you want? What is your passion? And if your passion is cutting hair, well, then become the best barber in the world. If you want, your passion is cooking, then become the best cook in the world. But don't think, oh, a barber doesn't make much money. Oh, it's like, I want to do something where I make a lot of money, so I want to do an MBA. No, you have to do what you like, and if you like it, you're happy, and if you're happy, you become successful. You know what? It's like, that's so, you know, people always think success makes you happy. No, it's not true. No. It's success doesn't make you happy. It's happy people who become successful. So find what makes you happy and success will come to you. That said, I always have to say that there's also a lot of luck. Like, you know, there's also luck involved. Sometimes you have more luck than others, and some stuff can happen. That's life. But the better you create the circumstances, the more you can minimize the factor luck. You know, the coincidence.
If you know where you're going and you're putting yourself in favorable circumstances, and all of a sudden there's a network meeting, you want to be a network or a person, or you want to do digital, and there's a meeting, you go there, all of a sudden, oh my gosh, someone's there, and you get lucky. So I'm going to say there is luck, but you're making your luck.
You can also, but you know, you can have a job interview. You know, greatest job in the world. Bad luck, you fall down the stairs, your leg is broken, you have to hospital, another guy gets the job. But that said, there's always other opportunities that come, and be open-minded for opportunities. But coming back to the young people, try to figure out who you want to be, what do you want, what's your passion. Try to go in this direction where your passion lies. And then be open-minded. Be open-minded. Enjoy the world, like go also travel, like be open-minded for people, embrace this diversity, like this, you can learn from everyone, you know, like don't be just narrow-minded and like, I'm focused on money, I want to do that. No, go around, look around, there's so many amazing stories out there, people in countries to discover, things to do, you know, try it out, and maybe and why not like travel for 3-4 years and live in you with, you know, when you're young, you don't need that much money. Like life is, you can still become a successful entrepreneur at 30, 35, 40, but get all this, as much experience as you can, and go see the world, try out stuff. Like I worked, when I was a student, I always worked on the side. I worked in factories. I worked on boats. I sold cigarettes. Even I'm not a smoker, but you know, I did everything. Best experiences I had, you know, like working at night shifts in factories. You know, you get to know the people who work there, who do that for a living. You learn from them. You know, it's another way. I was small truck driver for a company. Embrace this. Learn from everyone, and don't think, oh, I need to be an academic and only the academic world. No, there's so many good people out there. The academics doesn't mean anything. Do what you like and embrace it. Like,
he does embrace it. Ever since he's been here, you guys, he showed up here. He says, "Oh, don't worry, I don't need the hot water. I do a cold shower." We're all hearing about Wim Hofing and cold showers and stuff like that, and I was like, "Well, are you really sure? Because what about the soap? You want to like get hot water and then wash it." And then, you know, the soap's not going to work. And he says, yeah, soap works. I just use cold water. And I've been starting to do that since he's been here. And I've been doing, and Janet, my wife's been actually doing cold showers too, but 3 years cold showering. no monkey business, just cold shower.
Yeah.
Like
Here it's really cold.
here, the water is cold. Yeah. So, and it takes about an hour for the hot water to get from one school
Yes.
to the other side of the school. That's what I was telling him. He says, "Oh, don't worry, I don't even need the hot water." Always positive, never complaining, for real, optimistic, right? You can see this, and so you guys be curious, be optimistic. If you don't know where you're going right now, then go travel.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like I would so highly say the same thing. Like imagine right now, you guys, when I was before kids, and you when you were before kids, you could go go down here and sit at a coffee shop, have a coffee. You're totally free. At the same time, you could just say, okay, I'm going to go to India and go there for 6 months.
Yes.
You can do that. Same as going to the coffee shop. No one can stop you.
Yes.
And once you have kids, you can still do that. Especially nowadays, you can start learning how to make an income online, right? Learning how to do that, because if you can make $4,000 or $5,000, $10,000 a month online, so whatever you're thinking about doing, see if you can tie it into an online presence so you can travel the world and still have an income coming, because we're in a global economy,
absolutely.
right?
You know how many people travel around and they write something. They write their blogging about it or whatever. And imagine you travel somewhere and then you meet that one person with this great idea.
And you get lucky.
And you get lucky. That's what I mean. It's like you see that. It's like you get lucky when you have your eyes open. You see the opportunities.
Yeah.
You see the opportunities, but you have to be open-minded. You have to embrace this diversity. And just an anecdote, but my wife, she was from Canada. When she at 26, she said, "Oh, I'm going to travel." She left Canada. She left her good job. She had a great opportunity for another job, secure job. She said, "No, I'm going away." It's just she left for Switzerland, and she went to Switzerland to say, "Oh, I'm going to work there as a dental hygienist, and I'm going to travel every weekend." Then you can, in Europe, you're in the center of Europe. You can go. You hop in the train. 5 hours later, you're in Paris. 6 hours later, you're in Munich. 10 hours later, you're in Prague.
Wow.
So that's what my wife did. Friday, she packed her stuff, hopped on the train, boom, going to Vienna, coming back Sunday night, all this stuff. So she did that. And then what happened? She met me.
Canadian.
She met me.
Yeah,
Now
how'd you
she's
guys
still
meet?
in Switzerland. She worked out at the gym where I was working I worked at the gym back then as a student. I was like an instructor at the gym.
Let me guess. She said, "Hey, watch, I'll lift more than you."
Back then she was not a weightlifter yet. She was always fit though, always. Yeah. But we started talking, and so that happens. But it's like if she would have said, "Oh, I'm staying because I have a secure job and that's the important thing," she would still be at the same place. Yeah. Maybe, of course, she would have met a guy. Of course, she would.
She tried for a few years to become RCMP.
Yes.
I'm sorry, because and then all of a sudden they said, "No, we're not hiring women right now." Right?
They were hiring nobody for a while.
Nobody right now. Then all of a sudden they called her back and they said, "We need some women." And she said, "Well, I don't really want to work from that. I want to be like the best, right? I want to get hired." And she said, "No, I'm going to go to Switzerland."
Exactly.
When a big job, so there can be big decisions in life, right?
Yes.
You guys, and think about those two consequences.
Yes.
So another important thing for the young people is our decisions really do matter.
Absolutely, yeah.
So when you decide to go out and hang around with that gangster, right? You're making a decision to go down, and so make good decisions because you're going to be our age one day, right?
Yes.
And I think you've made some good decisions. Sorry to
I hope so.
But
no, but you're absolutely right. And so when you're young, go and travel. Take as many experiences as possible. I firmly believe it's not the certificates and not the papers you make in the school that make the person you are. It's the experiences you have. Yeah. Of course, that said, it's good to have a paper, but imagine it.
If that's your what? That's your what, right?
Yeah, and imagine, I told you, I'm a psychologist. Now, I met students, they had no experience of life because all they did, they were school, and university. They learned all the stuff in the books.
Yeah.
When I was studying psychology, I was like, man, I'm working organizational psychology. So I'm like, learning about motivation. Man, I experienced that exactly when I was working in the factory. Exactly what they describe here. I knew I saw the practical thing also. It was not just theory. I have a huge advantage. But you have the people who just know theory and they have a paper, but they cannot even put it in, so experience as much as possible. get to know many people, try out new stuff, have stories to tell when you're older. It's like, what a sad life if you're 50 or 60 and all you can say is like, I have a degree in psychology and that's my highlight. I studied and no stories to tell.
Yeah, no stories to tell. Like, no stories to tell. No pirate ship.
No, it's like it's like,
right. No pirate ship at all.
Enjoy it as long as you can. Suck it in, all this experience. Try out stuff. Be open-minded. Be open-minded to the world, to the people, to humans, to ideas.
Yeah.
And because we have enough narrow-minded people, and just be open. And I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, I do too. And all right, well, I think there's a few little things I'd like to just finish up touching on. Like you mentioned boxing, right?
Yes.
Talking about experiencing your boxing career.
Yeah, I was actually an amateur boxer. That was my sport when I was from like 16 to like 23. I was very active. I still did boxing after also, but I was an amateur boxer, not a professional boxer. Very successful. I was one of the best in Switzerland. No, that said, I always joke about that because I was like in the quarterfinal, half final of the Swiss Championship in heavyweight. Sounds great, but if you know that we were only like 4 to 6 participants every year, it's not such a big deal. So you were basically in when you're just signing in. Yeah. So no, I was not bad. I did this said, I also did sparring with like professional boxers. I was sparring partner for some Swiss professional boxers. He's still alive. One of the most successful Swiss boxers, still alive. Was one I did some sparring with. Great guy, by the way. But I love boxing. Yeah. I think it's a great thing. And I always say boxing is not like a sport. It's not a sport because you can't play boxing. It's like it's not like play soccer. No, you don't. You box. Out. It's not a game. It's something unique.
Yeah.
And it's so radical because you try to knock somebody down. It's very radical. There's other martial arts, but they're not so direct. Yeah. And I think there's also there's something very archaic to it, but very human. And sometimes people tell me like, oh, how can you like boxing? This is such a primitive sport, and so I'm like, no, it's not. Actually, it's not at all. It's actually very humane. It's so, just imagine you enter the ring. That takes a lot of courage. You have to get out of the comfort zone because you're alone. You're alone in the ring. There's nobody there for you. You have people in the corner, but they cannot come help you.
No.
There's no excuses. You're in the ring, and then you're on your own. The moment you step in, there's no there's no excuses anymore. You're there, and you suffer all the consequences of your actions. Your training. You didn't train enough. You feel it after 2 rounds. You're like, oh my God, I didn't train enough. No excuses. He's cannot hide. You cannot hide.
Wow.
You cannot hide. If you're in a team, I'm not so trained. You just hide a little bit and so. But in the ring, you cannot hide.
Did you ever have that feeling like you're like, oh my God, I'm going to lose?
Oh my God, no! When you do with professional boxers, the difference is so huge. I always thought like between a professional boxer and an amateur. Oh, it was like after like if you go with sometimes we did like the pro was in the ring and we were like 3. One after the other went in, and you go in, you do 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and then you go out. Oh my God, it's already 4 minutes break. I have to go in again, and the guy's still there, and you're coming in, and you're, oh my God. You can't. You suffer the consequences of all your behavior before. If you didn't train well, you suffer. If it's like if you didn't sleep well, you suffer. If you feel it, there's no hiding. So that's one great thing. It's no hiding, and you're there, and it's like it's direct. You look your opponent in the eyes, and the guy tries to knock you down. It's not like he doesn't want to make a goal or something. He wants to knock you down. So you make a mistake. You let your defend. You let your arms drop. Boom! You risk it.
Yeah.
Every action can have a consequence, and a consequence that you can be knocked down. I was knocked down. I lost my last combat. I lost knocked down. I was knocked out. So everything has a consequence. So you're so in the moment. You know, you live because there's, all your problems are gone. You're there. It's like there's no like thinking about my girlfriend and all that stuff. No, you're there. You're like you're so present. You're so alive.
So present. Wow.
You're so alive, and everything has, as I said, everything has consequence. And then people are like, you know, they're so primitive and so on. I said, no, actually, it's very honorable. You know, imagine you're boxers. It's all you're allowed to is you're allowed to hit him in here. You're not allowed to hit him here. You're allowed to hit here. You're allowed to hit the face, the front part of the head. You're not allowed to hit the back of the head. You're allowed to hit the upper body, but only the front. You're not allowed to hit somebody under the belt. No dirty tricks. You're not allowed to go behind his back and hit the person on the back of the head or in the back or something. What do we do in real life? What do people do? What do they in business, in politics? They go under the belt line. They try dirty tricks. In boxing, it's impossible. You're there, and you can see. You cannot do dirty tricks. It's there. There's no way to hide. You know, there's no. It's honest. It's honest. You fight with the other person. You try to knock him down. He knows you try to knock him down. You're alone. You can go back in the corner at the break. You can listen to the coach. He can only help you. He can help you by giving you tips. But at the end, it's you who do it. And I've come back to the parents. That's what it is.
That's what I'm thinking too.
That's something. At the end, your kids, they have their own life. They're standing there your own. You can give them tips. You can motivate them. You can tap them on the shoulder.
Love them. Right?
Love them. And so, but they're standing in the ring of life. It's like, for me, boxing is a metaphor of life.
Yeah.
You know, at the end, you're there alone. Not alone. You have somebody in the corner. That you always need somebody in the corner. You have to be the person. I want to be the person in the corner for my wife. I want to be the person in the corner for my kids, for my subordinates, for my, but at the end, I am in the corner. I'm in the arena. Like everybody stands in his life, in his arena. And that's boxing. And then you fight fair. And when you've done with the fight, what do? You shake hands. You hug each other.
Oh, yeah.
You respect each other. Did you ever see how politicians nowadays, do they hug each other after they have a debate? Do they? No, they don't even shake hands. They it's like so, but.
No, and all the advertising, how they literally backstab each other and
exactly.
It's just such a joke.
Exactly. Backstabbing. You're not allowed in boxing to hit somebody in the back. You have to confront him eye to eye.
Yeah. And if you're in your business and you do that stuff, you're going to get caught out too.
Yes.
Because to become a really successful business, you have to be really, truly enlightened.
Yes.
Otherwise, because people are paying with their votes.
Yes.
And you can do it for a while, but you're going to get found out and you're going to be out.
Absolutely.
Right? You're going to get knocked out.
Absolutely.
Because you're not ready.
Absolutely. Right? And that's what I think. It's so pure. It's so... And I look at the guys nowadays, the successful guys. I mean, they're such good people, I think. They're so fascinating personalities. Like a guy like all heavyweight division. I love it right now. Tyson Fury. What a guy, this English traveler who was like, he was on top, then he got drinking, he started doing drugs, he was overweight, had depression, almost was like at the edge of suicide, and he comes back and becomes the heavyweight, the best in the world. Yeah. If he can do it, everybody can do that. No excuses. He was if you look at pictures of him, he was bad drinking. He came back
suicidal,
depressive.
Bottom.
Yes, on the bottom. Comes back.
Was he a champ at first too?
He was a champion, and then his ego got over.
Yeah.
And then or you get a guy like Anthony Joshua, like model athlete. What an athlete! Like this guy trains perfect. But a humble guy, when he loses, the respect he shows to his, never like he lost against Andy Ruiz. Big surprise. Andy Ruiz, a Mexican the little guy, and they call him the chubby kid, great boxer though, but it was a big surprise. Nobody thought that Andy Ruiz would win in the Madison Square Garden. And he won. And there was no I had bad luck or something. He was there. The man was the better man tonight. I congratulate him. And he went into himself and he was like, you know what? I have to work on me. It's not the other guys. it's not the other guy was
Full
better.
responsibility.
I take responsibility. Very philosophical guy, that Anthony Choshnu, as is Alexander Usyk, the Ukrainian guy. He writes poetry. You know, like, these guys are so, I think because they're so present with what they do, when they do it, that they suck in life so much more, and they see the beauty of it also, because they know how to suffer. And, you know, I think if you don't know how to suffer, how can you if you don't know cold, how do you know warm? You know, imagine you have a life where it's always warm, always warm. It's like, you don't appreciate that warm. So you need to know the pain to appreciate how it is with no pain. You need to know the cold, to know how it is how to enjoy warm. You need to know sadness to appreciate happiness. You know, and I think sometimes we try to live in this perfect world where everything's lukewarm.
Yeah,
you know?
we do.
Everything is lukewarm, and we try to avoid pain. We don't want to. We want to stay in a comfort.
Do you have air conditioning? Do you have air conditioning?
Yes.
Yeah, no, they're finding out the diabetes is actually because a couple hundred years ago, you lived in a house that had drafts. There was no caulking on everything, and there was no little thermometer that turned on, so you got cold. And when you're cold sleeping, your body has to rev up the metabolism to keep you warm. Summertime, all of a sudden you go to Vietnam and Thailand, we're there in 42 degrees, and we're sweating and sleeping and sweating. But all of a sudden the next, because most of the time we're in air conditioning, hotels, twice we weren't. And those 2 nights, I was sweating like crazy. But the next day, I'm like beautiful. My complexion. I'm like, wow. Me and my wife both realized. And this whole comfort thing is killing us.
It's you know, no, I'm not against comfort. Again, so we come back basically to the Stoics. You know, the Stoics said, you know, it's good to have comfort, but remind yourself that there is also, that you can lose that. There's nothing granted. Everything that you have is yourself, your soul, your mind. So what did they do? Like a guy like Seneca, he slept like, I don't know, once a week on the floor, the richest man in the world, to remind him how good he has it to have a bed. I did that, you know, when I did the officer candidate trainings, when we always did this like 10-day survival like exercise, like this hell week kind of like, you know, people didn't eat for 4 days, or almost not, like the minimum, like just like energy, like this energy bar, 1,200 calories. They had to march, they had to carry stuff, they had to do exercises, they didn't sleep and everything, no sleeping. All they ate was that. They were hungry. And after 4 days, you give them like, we give them like, this meat, what is it called, like
a big roast beef,
like something cheap,
hot roaster.
Nothing expensive, like just simple, like this kind of like meat with something brown on top, like it's like this. How do you call that?
A pork roast, maybe.
Pork roast, exactly. It's like a pork roast. You get, people were like, I had like tears in their eyes, and they were telling me, "Hey, Colonel,
gratitude.
This is the best food I ever had." No, it's not you know what I mean? It's like, no, it's probably not the best food in quality, but at the moment you appreciate it because you know how it is. For 4 days, having worked hard, you burned a lot of energy, didn't sleep. All you could eat was something that tastes like nothing, and now you get this thing, and it's like the best food ever because you learn to appreciate it. If you live in a comfort world, like every day you have your T-bone steak and you have your this and that, and you give you something, what is it called again? The roast,
a pork roast every night.
You're like, nah, that's not good.
No.
I want the sirloin. This is, I don't like it. I don't appreciate it. But you put it in perspective, and I think that's what we have to do also. Put it always in perspective. And I think that's why also boxing and all that stuff, it puts you into, you know, it puts you down. You know you can suffer. You know you step out of your comfort zone, and that's when you learn to appreciate the little things also.
Yeah. What about doing 100-kilometer runs? Talking about getting out of your comfort zone. How many of those have you done? 100-kilometer runs.
I did three.
That's crazy, eh?
Yeah. Actually, there where I live, we have it. You know, like that's the city I live in, Biel. We have the 100K run, like one of the biggest. I think it's the biggest in Europe. 100K is one loop, not 10 loops. It's one loop, and great experience. I'm not, I mean, people don't see it. The ones on YouTube see, but you know, I'm not really the runner type. I'm like 6'2", 6'2", 6'4" tall like this, 190 centimeters. I think it's like 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah, you're like 250 pounds?
No, more. I'm like 220, 230 pounds. Like, I'm over 100 kilos. So I'm not really the runner type, you know.
Yeah.
But amazing. There's also like doing a 100K or 60 mile, like whatever. Amazing experience. It's a philosophical experience. It's meditation, you know. You have to imagine, and it's like I always said, like a 60-mile run, and that's it's
60 miles.
It's not like I did also marathons, very cool marathons.
The average marathon's 26 miles.
Exactly,
guys.
it's like, and there's 60.
So this is two of those is 52.
Yes, and then you add some
more. And then add 8. And
yes.
Oh my God.
And which is marathons, hats up for everyone, who does that. I did it also. It's a great experience. But a 60-miler, as I said, it's like life within like 60 miles. And I explain you, I'm not the greatest runner. There's some guys who do it in 6.5 hours, crazy. I had, my best time was 13 hours and 29 minutes, which was a very good time for me. The slowest I was like 16 hours and 2 minutes, and the other one I did in 15 hours. But imagine that, it's like life. It's also like life. You start, you're at the beginning of life, you're like 16 years old or something. Imagine that, That's like when you're at the start, at the starting line. You're excited, you're nervous, you don't really know what's coming, but you're pumped,
All full of vigor.
It's like stepping out in life, becoming independent. You're there at the starting line. You have like 1,000 people around you. Everybody's like moving and they're nervous, and you're like nervous. Your heartbeat is like, your watch is showing like your heartbeat is up. And then boom, then the start comes. And then you run through the city, you're pumped. You're running and you realize, oh my God, I'm running much faster than normal. Because it's the adrenaline kicking in, it's the people who applaud, and it's the others who run with you. It's like life. You go, when you're 16, 20 or something, you run out, like the world belongs to me. You go too fast, probably.
Yeah. It's amazing that feeling that you've had.
It's amazing.
I gotta get that back.
And you run, and then you're like, oh my God, I'm so fast. I'm like, I have an average, never in training at this average. First 10Ks, it's like, it's good, it goes good. And you have to imagine, Switzerland, it goes always up and down. Huh? So after 10Ks, the first uphill part comes. And you start slowing down already a little bit, It's the first obstacle in your life. But you still feel good, but it's getting a little bit harder. 30 years old, you slowly, maybe two first problems in your life, not everything is rosy, not everything is, and you feel it, okay. But you get up there, you make it, and then you go up there, you feel good again, you run, like it goes downhill now, like basically you feel good,
Downhill is much easier?
It's easier, it's easier. It's on your knees, it's sometimes a little problematic, but you can, at least you can down, and then
it's going up this much, like,
And then after like 30, 40 Ks, you're still...
And these could be a long, like...
there's like, it goes up, down, flat, up, down, everything.
Crazy.
And then, you're there after 30 Ks, and you'll start feeling like, I'm good. But then you start thinking, hey, I still have 70 more to go. It's still long. I'm already running since 3 hours. Still 70 more to go. And you start thinking, It's like in life, suddenly like, I reached something, but... it's still more, and is that really what no, but it's good. I'm doing it, you go on.
I can stop at any moment?
You can stop at any moment. There's a lot of people who stop it.
Does that thought pop up?
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly what comes, And then you're like at 50, and you're 50K, and you're really tired. You're getting tired.
Your hips are burning, knees,
everything's
feet.
burning, and you have like blisters, and then you're like, and then you start doubting yourself. That's when it comes, like look at midlife. Like in midlife, you start asking yourself, is it the right thing what I'm doing? Is it really good what I'm doing here? And then you're there, I'm like, and it's you don't have to imagine. I mean, the start is always at 10 o'clock p.m. So you're running through the night, and now it's like...
It starts at 10 p.m.?
10 p.m., yeah.
What?
And then you have, and then it's like 50K, after 50Ks, you're like in the middle. And it's like, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 3, 4 in the morning.
God.
You're getting tired.
Who
and
planned
you're,
that out? That's
No, it's brilliant.
retarded. I
but-
want to start at 7 in the morning.
and then you're there and you're like, you know, and suddenly you're alone. At first you're the big field, you know, and it stretches out. And then you're there and you start like in the middle of nowhere, you know, and you're like, why am I doing that? It's like 4 in the morning and I'm tired and it starts hurting. I'm only at the half point and I'm not getting better from this moment. It's getting harder. Like in life, it's like when you know you're not so fit anymore, and so I'm getting weak.
That's right where I am right now. First time like, these thoughts, like wow, I'm 50.
Like, and then it's like, you know, I could also just give up and go. Every 6-7 kilometers, there's a post, you know, where they give you to eat or have massage, and then it's always like, you know, I could just stop there. And the worst is you never do, there's a lot of guys who do massage. I never do massage because I was like, if I stop, you know, I'm moving, I want to keep on moving. I want to moving. I don't want to stop, like, you know. So
you can lie on the table and they whack your muscles and stuff like that.
And I'm like, no, I don't do that. I'm going to go on. I don't want to risk that. So you go on. Then you get a little bit of second wind. Maybe, you know, you're coming to the 60K and that's like, and then you're like, wow, I did more than half now. Oh, it's not so bad, you know, you go and it's going to end in 80 kilometers. Then then it hits you again, you know, like getting, okay, you had this like 60 till 70, that went quite well, but then it's like, oh my God, 30 Ks, that's almost like 30, it's more than a half marathon still. And I'm like, and it's like 6 in the morning now, or 7 or 10 in the morning, and I'm still far away. I still like, the last 10 Ks I had.
How are the feet and the blisters?
Oh, it hurts. It's just, but you have to switch, yes, but after that you have to switch off. Like, it's like, but then you're like, you start calculating, oh my God, the last 10 Ks, took me 2 hours for the last 10 Ks. That makes, I still have 6 hours to go at least. 6 hours now, it's like, say something, 8 o'clock in the morning. I will arrive like at 2 in the afternoon if I go on like this. It's still long, 6 hours. It's like a work day. You start, start having this doubt.
I do a half an hour run around my block.
And then you go on, and then you see the last, then you come at 90. And then it's like, okay, you know what? Now I'm not going to give up anymore. Now I'm not going to give up.
The whole time you're thinking about giving up still?
Oh yeah, you still, but at 90, it's basically gone. It's like, okay, you start counting 9, 8, and every step hurts. And it's like, I do one step at a time, and I'm even counting my steps, you know.
Are you walking between some now?
Yeah. No, I'm like, there's big parts I was walking, you know. Yeah. And then you walk, me at the end, you walk, you know, and you walk, and it's like, okay, now I'm counting my steps. It's like, I know about 250 steps is 1 kilometer, and no, not 250 steps, like steps? 4 times 250 steps. Like, you know, and I'm like 1, 2. Okay, and then up to 250. So 250. I have this one. No, it's 9 kilometers more, and then you start seeing and that's the beautiful. Then you start seeing the finish line.
You're on a bit of a hill, or just
no? It's straight, and then you know what? Suddenly you start running again. You don't know how. But you start running, you see it, and you're like, oh my God, and you're pumped, and you're like, oh my God, I'm a hero. I did it. I'm almost there. I'm like, man, I can rock the world. I'm the champion of the world. You know, you come in, there's probably nobody at the finish line because it's so stretched out, the thing. But you come in, you feel like the best. Like, you're there. And you know what's the funniest thing? You run the last 5 kilometers. You pass the finishing line. You can almost not make a step anymore. It's like, I did it. Most people, they sit down and they lie on the floor and yes, and then they have to get up they try to go to the shower. They get up. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. It's like, and before you were running the last 2-3 kilometers, and
now over
the finish line, it's over.
So your brain
switches off. And I'm sure if you would have to do 2 more, it would go.
It would have, yeah.
But it's like, I did it. You feel so good. That feeling is so amazing. That when you arrived and you know you did it, you beat yourself. You know, you were winning against yourself. You did something that you probably before thought is impossible. And of course it's training. It's a lot in here. I saw guys super good trained after 30 Ks, 40 Ks, finished. Marathon runners after 42 Ks, they did 5-6 more, dead. They couldn't anymore. So it's all here. It's all here, and it gives you such a power if you do that. And I really tell the people, like, I take such challenges.
That's what I'm thinking right now, aren't you?
It's beautiful. Like this.
I'm doing 10K tomorrow.
Yes, and be proud if you did. If you did it. But I have to tell a little story still quick.
Well, my brain's now trying to do the math on 10K, because usually I do 2.5 with my wife, and I'm like, that's 4 of those laps?
Well, you do 3, and
But of course I could. If you did 100.
Of course, and then you walk if you can, you know, and then you say, hey, I did it, and you do that for 2-3 weeks, and then you add another 500 meters. But I have
did
to
your toenails fall off too?
Yeah, you have like 30 blisters. Some people have really bad after. I mean,
I remember David Goggins broken legs or toenails.
Okay, he's another leak. Of course, he goes like.
Well,
but it's
he was out of shape and had 3 days notice.
Yeah,
but And how much training before that? Sorry, like all of a sudden you would be doing like 10-kilometer runs
I would
regularly.
do 10. What I did is like 10. The first 10, and then I did per week, like always like a little bit more, like going to like 50, like I did like 2-3 10Ks maybe, and then a 15, and then for 2 weeks, and then I go up to a 20, and then to a 25. But the most I did is like a 60 Ks for myself, or 45, 50, 60 once, like about 6 weeks before, just in my head that I know I can do that. I'm there, you know. I'm but that's what I did. But I have to tell you a very funny story. I was 23 years old, and I was good. That was when I was the fastest, and I had this 13 and a half hours, and I was good. You know, I had my plan, like that many minutes per K, and I was ahead of my plan, you know, and I was good, and I felt good. It was 1993, and I was running, and it was like 70K, and then I have this. You know, you start talking with people, and it's an amazing thing. You start talking after in the middle of the night, after 50 Ks, when it's like 3-4 in the morning, and you walk and you run and you walk, and you start talking with the other guys. You know, the other people who suffer with you, and you're alone there, and then you have another guy, and you start talking, and it's very deep conversations sometimes. It's amazing because you're broken. You're broken, and it's like, you know, you're so glad if there's somebody else who can motivate you or tell you. So I was like there, 70 Ks. And I was good, you know. I was early morning, the sun was rising, and I was good. I was like, so I think it was like 5-6 in the morning, and I was and then I was walking fast there. I wasn't running, and there was another guy coming to me, older guy. You know, I was 23, and older guy, and I mean older guy, like not 50, like he was over 70, fit though. And he walks with me for a while. I say, hey, how's it going? I'm like, yeah, it goes well. Thank you. You know, I'm good. I'm ahead of my plan, and so. And then I said, and you? It doesn't go well. And I'm like, okay, well, we're at the same moment right now, you know, like, I think it goes well. And he said, and I'm like, why doesn't it go well? And he's like, yeah, you know, it's my 20th or 30th, or my 20th I do. I'm like, okay, you did already 20 of this. And I come every year. And how old are you? And it's like, 75. I'm like, okay, and it's not going well right now. No. I was much faster the years before, you know. And I'm like, okay, wow. And then he was walking, and then I'm like, so why isn't it going well? He said, oh, you know, I had diarrhea. I'm like, you had diarrhea? You know, you're still with me here, you know. After 70 Ks, you had diarrhea. So yeah, you know, after like, you know why? I took this modern drinks there. You know, it was the time when Gatorade and all that came up, you know, the sports drink. Never did that before, you know. I'm like, I got diarrhea and bellyache, and I was not good at all. I'm like, and me, you know, with all my Gatorade and my protein bars and everything, you know, and he was like, you know, never should have done that, you know, not good at all. I'm like, okay. So, yeah, diarrhea, you know, after 60 Ks, I had to make a break. I slept an hour. I'm like, you slept an hour? You know, I'm like, you slept an hour? And he's like, yeah, because I had to, you know, I had to go first. And then after an hour, it was really better. After my belly was better, I went on. And you have to imagine, the whole race goes like through these villages everywhere, you know, like there's villages. And then he said, you know what the best thing was? And since then it goes really better. You know what, the other village just before, the restaurant was open. I went in, took a big beer, and now it goes better. And I'm like, now serious, you slept for an hour, you had diarrhea, and now you just went in a restaurant to drink a beer, a big beer, like half a liter, you know? And he said, yes. And we're at the same place in the race. And I'm like, never stop, no, not stopping, I'm gonna go. And then we walked till kilometer together for, I think till like kilometer 80. For 10 kilometers we walked together, and he was telling me all his tips and everything. Great guy, beautiful guy. And then after 80 Ks, he said, okay, young guy, good luck. We see us at the finish line. And he just starts running. He just left. I couldn't see him anymore.
Yeah.
And I looked after. He arrived 2 hours prior to me. I had 20 Ks left.
Yeah.
He did this in 2 hours less than me. It took me like 4 hours. It took him 2 hours. He did
75.
and he was 75. And I'm like, he did a break. He slept. He drank beer. He had diarrhea. And he came in 2 hours early. He was and I'm like, oh my God. You know, and there I saw.
11 hours.
He had 11 hours and 30 minutes, and I had 13 hours and 30 minutes. And I was like, oh my God. And then you see, you know, guy, I was like in my, basically I thought I was really fit. I told you I was
Once
a
you
boxer.
started saying 23, I was thinking, okay, well, because I was starting to think maybe I could do this one day, and I was going to ask when was your last one, but 23, now I'm thinking, oh, forget that then.
No, but you can.
Now we got a 75-year-old.
You can. And you know, and that's what I learned there too. Often the young guys, they're not as good as the old guys. You have guys 50, 60, they're running this 100K in 10 hours, 11 hours, 9 hours. Because you know what? They're here much stronger than, you know, you have the 20-year-old who after 30 Ks, he's like there, he makes the first 30 Ks in like 2 hours, you know, and then after 40, like, fall down.
No.
It's like in life. You go much, sometimes you go too fast, and the older guys with the experience, they know how to you know, they know how to deal with the management of their body energy. They have the mindset for it, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
Wasn't that needed? No, it is amazing.
Yes.
It is amazing. Isn't it needed like 41? It was the first time ever in my life, I said, ooh, maybe I'm not that 23-year-old anymore. Do you remember that moment?
Yeah, absolutely. When you feel it, when you suddenly
it's like, what?
When it hurts a little bit more, and you're like, or you have to have a harder time to get up, and or you do a workout, and the other day you feel your knees or whatever, you know, and you need more time in between. Well, before you just could go and go and go, you know.
Yeah, you learn that management.
Yes,
you know,
yes,
so.
absolutely.
But I'm feeling good at 51, and we're the same age. 3 months older. The Colonel, 3 months older. And a couple good-looking guys doing a podcast.
Absolutely.
Successful families, happy families, loved, right?
Yes.
And 100K run. Are you going to do one, you guys? Are you going to do one?
Do it, or do a 10K.
I know, but you got to like make a decision and then do it.
Do it.
So do I make a decision right now to do a marathon?
Yeah.
Like just a marathon. It's 42 kilometers.
Absolutely.
That's easy.
It's not easy at all. It's not easy at all.
No, I know, it's not easy.
It's not easy at all.
We do our little running around the block. And I did my math. He told us about his 100K when we did the ice plunge on January 1st. I did my math. My little route around my block, my running, we're on a 13 or 14 hour 100 kilometers.
Yeah. No, there's guys who do it.
So that's a fast pace you do.
There's guys who has 6.5 hours.
I forget them. I'm talking about because me and Jen are jogging like just a regular jog, and doing that for 100 kilometers. Like whoa.
Yeah, it is a lot, but it's feasible, and that's what, you know, we don't know how much is feasible, and it's such a good feeling if you know, and it gives you so much confidence also for other stuff in life, and you know, I can do it. I stepped out. You know, you step out of the comfort zone. It can be, and for everybody, it can be something else, the comfort zone. You don't need to step in a boxing ring. You don't need to do 100K or 60 mile. If your comfort zone is going out, never did a walk, and you do a 2 kilometer walk, do it. If you don't like speaking to other public, and you want to do it, step up and try it and do it, and you realize you can do it. You know, like
you got to get out of those comfort zones, right? We got to.
Absolutely.
That's my big thing for 2022. Is to be the you you're meant to be. All that stuff you're holding back, you guys launched. This is the Big Dreams Club all about. So, 2 lives, 2 50-year-old guys, 251. Pretty darn amazing life. I'm happy with my life. I'm not complaining. I'm not regretting. Okay, but wow, like wow, it's just cool stuff. So, and you did 300 kilometer runs, and you got knocked out how many times?
Once. And that's when it was my last fight. And after I thought,
you're like, hey, you're like, wait a sec, that was a big ring. How long did it take you to get up?
Not that long. I was not a heavy knockout, but after I was like, I didn't remember how I came there, and I was like trying to reconstruct my day, and that scared me a little because I was like realizing I don't remember how I came here and what I did before. And then you were like, training is good and everything, and I saw it and I did it and I know I can do it, and that was the moment where I said, you know, I'm never going to be pro or something, you know. It's like I did it for me, and then I was like, you know what, I stopped the fight. Like I did still sparring, I did still the training.
Yeah.
And
I've done that too.
Yeah,
you know,
and I just stopped the competitions.
Yeah. We did some Muay Thai in Vietnam or Thailand in the heat, like 35 degrees. Outdoor gyms they have. Everyone's doing it outdoor.
Outside. Yes,
it's amazing.
That's cool.
So last 100-kilometer run was when?
Oh, it was a long time. Like it was 96
27
or
or 26. Okay, so you did 3 in a row.
I did one with 18, one with 20.
Oh.
23 and one, I think 26.
Okay, so a few years in between this one.
Yeah.
Wow. And your motto, which is on your arm.
Yeah. Oh, well, I have several on my arm. Well, one is Memento Mori.
Memento Mori.
Yes.
Not this Mori.
No, Memento Mori. You probably, I don't know if you can see it.
It's like Latin?
It's Latin, and it says, "Remember, you're going to die."
Yeah.
And it's a very stoic thing, and I love it because, you know, the Roman emperors, after when they came back and they had the big triumph, the parade of triumph, when they had a big battle and they came into Rome, and you know these pictures, you know, where they went through Rome,
like pure ego. I'm
the champion in front, and it's the biggest moment of your life.
Yeah.
And they had a guy, the general, the emperor. He had a guy always behind him during this big moment of success, who told him once every 2 minutes or so, don't forget, you're going to die. Memento mori. You're going to die. We're all mortal.
And each one of these guys had that. I always thought it was just one.
I think it was I don't know if each one, but for sure the champ, you know, the emperor. And then if you imagine if you're in the biggest moment of where you were like the king of the world, which is nice. It's good to be proud, but somebody tells you, but don't forget, you're mortal. You will die, as does the mule driver.
I'm the king. I bring us back from victory. Oh my gosh, they're all raining praise on me, and I remember you're going to die. And you're going to die. I'm trying to. It's pulling you down to humble. At the same time, it's really almost allowing you to really appreciate it
even more. Absolutely.
Like this is a moment of a lifetime.
Yes. And and that's the thing. Enjoy. Like, remember, you're going to die. That it means for me, and that's why I put it here. That to see it also every day, you know, to remind me, we're not as important as we think we are. Mm-hmm. You know, in 100 years, nobody talks about this podcast.
Yeah.
It's just like nobody talks about us. Maybe our family, like my grandpas, whatever.
I think about that a lot too.
But it's like we're not that important. So we should not take ourselves too serious. You know. And there's so many other people out there who are as important as we are. So that's one thing. We're mortal. So we're going to be gone. We're just living in a small moment of time. There were people before us. There will be people after us. We're just a small. Even if you're president of the United States, it's like it's a short time. You're not like a god or something. No. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, it reminds you to enjoy the moment. As you said before, you're there. You know, enjoy the moment. We have one life.
Yeah.
So let's enjoy it. Why waste it with being angry and pissed off at people? And so enjoy the moment. Memento mori. It sounds morbid, but it's actually a way of being happy.
Yeah. No, it doesn't sound morbid to me. I'm getting it. Memento mori. Except I'll spell it M-A-U-R-Y. Memento mori. But it's not morbid. And a lot of I mean, I remember a podcast where I forget who it was, but he always basically, which is horrible programming, but he always, when he wakes up in the morning, he imagines that his whole family's passed away and like gone and dead. It sounds like crazy and morbid, but that for some reason sparks him up.
Well, because he knows, hey, they're still here. Because as I said, and that's very stoic. You know, always know that everything you possess can be gone. Everything you bought can also be lost. Everything even your kids, they don't belong to you. Your wife, they don't belong to you. You cannot control that. So appreciate it. If you love your wife, if you love your kids, they're here, but it can be gone one day. And we cannot attach ourselves to all the, you know, to possessions, to to material things. It's like the only thing we really possess is our mind, our soul, is our personality, our character. And so by telling himself, like, look, they could be gone. Yeah, it's true. It could be. So, and when you think, oh my God, you think, my family could be gone. They could have they could have all died. You wake up and they're not. And then you're like, you can go and you can hug them, say, thank you, you're here.
Yeah.
And that's what's, it's, as I said, it sounds morbid, but it's not. It's actually very positive.
It is, yeah.
Appreciating what you have.
I appreciate you, big guy. I do, you guys. And you guys tuck your kids in tonight, right? Tonight,
yes,
even if they're 14, say, hey, can I come lie down with you and talk for a bit? And they will. They'll hug you. Yeah. It might be weird at first if they're 15 or something like that, but my girls are still asking me to tuck them in at night. Memento Mori. This is a great guy. I'm so glad he came here. It's such a perfect, awesome. Like a month he stayed here, and we met him and met his son, and we're gonna be friends for a long time.
Oh, sure.
He got me helping me doing this, and I'll have to draw a line in the sand about the 26 mile, 42, maybe a half marathon, 10K. Let's start with 10K.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I'm drawing a line.
Yourself.
I'm drawing a line. 2022, I'm doing a 10K because they do 10K runs. That's an easy one. I mean, I
it's
see
not
that
easy.
as easy.
It's not easy, but it's feasible.
I can do a 10K, and maybe I should go bigger because I know I could do a 10K. Right? You see what I mean? Is that
both.
pushing yourself?
Do both.
Okay, half marathon is what? 20.
It's
42 miles, 21 kilometers.
21.2 kilometers. So.
Okay, I'm gonna do a. Okay, oh my God. Okay, okay. Matthias Mueller. If we want to get a hold of you, your website once again.
www.muellermatthias.ch. So it's MUELLERMATHIAS.ch.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, and you find me also on YouTube. You can put in the Stoic Pirate or the Stoische Pirat in German.
Public speaker, you guys. Public speaker. He's got his own podcast. He's got you have one book out. You're writing your second book,
my second
which are
book.
motivational and inspirational. And then you got a third book out there for all your short stories you were telling me about.
That's my first. That's
your first.
That's my first book.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
book with 50 short stories.
Okay.
About decision making, about leadership. Yeah.
Okay, great. So that was just bad math, right? double counting. I'm double counting the books, but wow, seriously, great. I really, really respect this guy, and I just look at him. I'm going to emulate, and I'm going to become a professional. I'm going to borrow a little bit of that, the Memento Mori, and the cold shower, and all these little things. And this is from a colonel who's gotten a long way up. Working hard, being a good guy. You can't do that on the sly, right? You can tell. So, any last things you want to share to the world?
No, just thank you very much for having me your guest. And enjoy your life. Memento Mori. Be good to each other. Be positive, and assume always that other people want to be good too. Assume that other people are good, and because I believe that really humans are. Deep inside, all the humans are good. So have this attitude, and the world's going to be better. Yeah.
And I always really do think I'm a positive guy, an optimistic guy, and then I've met him. So there's different levels. Like he's really optimistic, really positive guy who's really doing it. So. All right, there you go. Big Dreams Club, make it happen. All right, make it happen. You guys are way better than you ever thought possible. So let's all just get out there and do it. So once again, sir, thank you very much.
Thanks.
We've been in the same bubble for a month now. We're good. Yes. All right, you guys. Thanks. Thanks, Mathias.
Cool. Great.